It is Monday, July 17th, day 6 of the event window, and competition is back underway with the second round unfolding. Chloe Andino about to take on Jadson Andre in really clean conditions here at Super Tubes. Ronnie Blakey with Peter Mel. And Pete, this is a big heat. Chloe Andino had such a great start to the year, but hasn't been past the third round since WA. Jadson Andre just 2 heat wins this year, and Jadson up nice and early, and he goes down there.
Well, Jadson had pretty much injured himself on the free surf, and then you see there he just threw off his headband. He received 6 stitches to his head. So he's surfing with a bit of injury. Of course, being on his head, can usually surf through that. As you can see, that little slap probably hurt though. I mean, it'll be sore for sure.
That was just late yesterday afternoon. Went down, copped the fin in the back of the head, actually busted the fin out of his board.
Ouch.
So it was...
It'll be tender.
It was tough contact. It was hard. It went down, sliced through the back of his head.
And I was over at the doctor's myself, getting myself a little bit of antibiotics. I've been fighting this congestion, and he was over there getting taped up. And good spirits. He was chuckling always. Jadson, such a great story.
Currently in 34th position, the surfer from Natal City, Brazil. A very popular character, but they're going through a real rough one to kick this year off, counting 2/13ths as his best results. Kolohe, on the other hand, at the top end, sitting in 9th position. Let's see what he can do with this one. Got a style that you'd think would just work at this location. Nice big frontside carves, plenty of variety. Driving up into the pocket a couple of times now, as he looks to line up a big finish here. A huge float, just stays up on the roof for a long, long time before coming down and landing that thing over that shallow inside.
So you like when a surfer starts out way on the top of the point and finishes all the way down into the keyhole, which is exactly what Kolohe did there. Covered a ton of ground, so a nice complete ride. You know, his first ride just a .50. So this is going to be the first score of any substance, getting that early round lead for Kolohe. And you'd think his style would work very well here. You know, he's very compact, understands how to be able to do turns at high speeds, but also connect from top to bottom on this point.
Out the back, nice looking set wave here for Jadson. Straight up and just starts driving to get down the line. Not overcommitting there. Well aware that this wave's going to offer lots of opportunity down the line. Couple of big hits, solid finish. And he likes the feel of it as he kicks out there. So the big cheers from the crowd, which has been so solid on our competition days, and even on the off days, just watching the free surfing unfold. There's been a lot of people down here on the beach.
Oh, it's one of the most picturesque breaks in the world. And it's so easy, you know, all the houses line the entire point here. So of course with the grandstands, the Casa Corona, you know, serving up cold Coronas and food. Got in food helping with that too. I mean, it's a perfect venue to just sit and chill and watch and enjoy the scenes. I mean, surfers are out there all day long. What a wave though for Jadson Andre. Exactly what he needed to do to answer back to Kolohe's performance. A little bit bigger wave. Probably not as many turns, but the quality was there. There was 2 major turns. That finish move especially was beautiful exclamation point. You know, stamping that end maneuver, which the judges love to see.
They love this sport over here, the South Africans. And Corona's been accommodating in a big way. They had the finals of Wimbledon yesterday, but it was Chloe Andino serving up some big hits to this wave, Pete.
Yes, and that's, again, well-paced wave, which we see how he waits off the bottom, seeing if that was going to be a barrel section, but decides to go, climbs the roof, and just connecting, snapping his way all the way down the line. This car park section really had to basically do a floater for the finish because that wave was going to line up. But see how much bigger Jadson's wave did by a couple feet. On that backhand, he gets that section pushing down the line, and then that was a beautiful turn. Nicely timed again. The carve down to show some mix, and then the finish move straight up. You know, he could have easily tried to chase that wave down, but went, I'm going to go for a quality move here on this inside section. I feel like you're going to give Jadson a slight edge in his score on this one. We'll see what the judges think. Kolohe had to watch that one.
JBay's one of those waves you really want to time those hits. You know, just out on the open face, just out of the pocket enough, because when you send a bit of spray off your rail, that offshore breeze will just carry it right up into the sky, and they're those big statement maneuvers. As we see Kolohe just grabbing the wall, tucking into the barrel to kick this wave off, holds his rail, transitions through to the inside and sets up the pit once again. The waves are starting to come on just in time for the man in red, as he just goes for more barrel time on the inside. He is having a field day out here at the moment. Can he find the exit on this one? Tries to push through the curtain. Interesting scenario there. That is a completely different section of this ride. Jadson down the line, trying to hang on to his last turn. Did that bodyboarder get in Kolohe's way at all?
Could be. I mean, it depends on how far he was in there. But what a set, Ron Dog. That was one of the biggest sets we've seen. The entire event happening. Good 5-6 foot double overhead. 4 or 5 waves in that set. They weren't even all the way to the outside yet before that wave came, or that set of waves came.
Still plenty of time on the clock too, so it looks like Kolohe and Jadson are going to get some opportunities in this heat to really drop some big numbers.
They're going to get scolded now. Got Richie Port out there going, get those guys down. Look at, he's telling them right now.
Yeah, buddy.
Nice long paddle to get back out to the top of the point.
I'd love to know, you know, obviously you can't get in the barrel with Kolohe, but just what he saw when he was driving down the line as the paddle battle unfolds.
Yeah, this is going to be one, right? There's 25 minutes left in this heat, so you don't want to exude too much. You can see if who really wants it, or if they're just going to kind of let it unfold. Feels like the advantage to Jadson just because he's on that inside. But we know that Jadson rode the last wave.
Kolohe should get in the slipstream and trail him up the point. And there's that tactic that can come into play. You cannot expel as much energy as the person you're in the paddle
just like
battle
riding
with,
a bike. Tour de France.
Kind of make them think that you're coming after them, so they're basically exerting all that energy on their run back to the point.
Well, I mean, and also you get drafted, just like in NASCAR or you know, biking. You can sit there in the back and just kind of half the paddles.
Cycling.
Yeah, cycling, biking is the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Bicycle, cycle. Anyway, yeah. Like he's understanding right now. He's questioning it.
I think he's tripping on the fact that there was a bodyboarder there who had a look at that wave, and that's going to put you off. Whether you're trying to punch through the curtain before you reach that person, it's a really horrible situation for Kolohe to have to face. But we'll have a look at the replay of Jadson's ride, because I think he got some big turns done on the outside here, Pete.
Yeah, well, third wave of the set. You can see the size of this set too. That's double overhead. Nice connection with the lip there. Again, he looking how paced he is, right? He's not hurrying setting up the wall. It's just wait for that section to build up for you. You're going to have so much speed. This one pulled off of the point too, so you knew that there was going to be the opportunities. It wasn't going to run too fast.
It was a good pace wave, but it just felt like he was maybe just a little too relaxed.
Yeah, maybe.
And Dino, though, he just went on a mad roll down the point, just pulling in the barrel after barrel.
How could you not? When it's just howling offshore like this, you're like, okay, where's that next barrel section at? It's that perfect time in the tide. Look at 2 solid barrels, sets up the next one. This is that long section. He pulls up underneath it right here. Barreled, super barreled. I mean, you think he would be there, and then this, the bodyboarder. What? He did. He mushed it on him. What a bummer. Penalty box for the bodyboarder.
It is such a long wave. How much of the lineup are you going to keep clear from the top at Boneyards all the way down to the end? Or are you going to give the locals an opportunity to get a wave just off the end?
They've had plenty. There's been plenty of surf.
They call it impossibles, but for a lot of the championship tour competitors, making that next session isn't impossible at all.
Yeah, and give the benefit of the doubt, right? I mean, if you're down there, you're going to get some waves. So yes, it's a nice set. If a guy's on the jersey and he's pulling into the barrel, you don't want to drop in. I mean, it's my feeling at least.
So he gets himself a 5.9 Andino for that wave. And he's still out in front, but that could have potentially gone a lot higher.
Oh, it would have
been given a clean run out of that barrel.
It would have been excellent. You know, but you can't give a score for something hypothetically could have happened. You just don't know. Close heat. I mean, the first exchange separated by just a quarter of a point.
This is the other challenge that the competitors have to face here at Jeffreys Bay. That wind, it just blows so strong and often blows the sound waves from the beach commentator down the line. You don't hear anything.
All you're hearing is... So, yeah, you're right. You talk to the competitors, they've said it. It's very challenging to hear. And, you know, Giggs and Greg Emsley know that. They're going to give the information that is needed at the right time so that they can actually hear it. I mean, even if they can't, they're going to, you can say it again. I mean, Jadson's asking for the information already once again. I mean, he would probably have not heard the first exchange. And you know that Jadson's one of those competitors that is all about the numbers. I mean, he does the math. He does it all. So Giggs Sillier's doing the information from up top there.
Yeah. Well, Strider's out there in the lineup. Strider, can you hear the scenario that the competitors are in at the moment?
You can't, not clearly, and from where I'm at in the water, you would think you'd be able to hear really well, but I think as you come down the point to where we are, you have a better earshot, but with the wind blowing down from the speakers, it's just really hard to catch everything that they're saying. So you're kind of flying blind, so to speak, out the back when you're sitting there waiting for the waves. You can see the priority and what you really need to know about as far as you're up or not, as you know, on the next wave, which is a key element obviously out here in the lineup. So that you can see, it's a visual that you can catch on the top of the tower there, which is very clear. And the waves have just been absolutely beautiful coming through in this heat. You know, the forecast has it picking up all afternoon, which is a plus, and that last set was just a bomb. And down the end there, unfortunately, there was a bodyboarder, looked like he was trying to catch the wave, and I don't even think he knew. He must have known Kolohe was there, but it was an unfortunate thing for Kolohe. And, well, we'll see what happens in the rest of this heat. Hopefully we get some more sets like that, because that thing was just incredible to watch from out here. It just looks like velvet. The beautiful bowls coming down, absolute cartoons as you watch them come down the point.
Definitely. Jadson Andre with those stitches in the back of his head. Seems like he's competing pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, you know, I got to catch up with him just before he came out for a warm-up trying to ride new boards, because he broke his favorite board on his head. So he got the stitches, and he wasn't really worried about the stitches. He was worried about his favorite board. So that's kind of a key note there, that he's more upset about breaking the favorite board, because I guess your weapon, you know, your choice of knives and what you're using when you're, you know, going to do battle, you need to have that one that gives you the most confidence, and he doesn't have it right now. Although he does look like he's surfing really well, he was more upset about not having that perfect board.
Strider, you were the color of Jadson's rash shirt yesterday, his contest jersey, when you came in after those first couple of heats. You're looking a little warmer out there today, mate.
It's definitely a lot warmer for two reasons. The sun's out. The winds are really chilly, but yeah, I hit up Ryan Fletcher, the Rip Curl pit boss, for a wetsuit, and he was going to go grab me one after the event got called off, and Mick Fanning's like, oh, I got nothing to do. He ran down to the store, he grabbed himself a hood and came back driving through the alley. I was walking back, and he threw a 5.4 with me with a hood on it, so thank you, Mick, for setting me up with a nice new wetsuit. Very toasty.
He's a good bloke, isn't he?
He sure is. For more than just being a good surfer.
18 minutes to go here. And it is Kolohe Andino leading this heat. Kolohe, Pete, he's been so good the past couple of seasons, really coming on as a championship tour competitor. Got all the way to 4th position last year. But even last year, it just seemed like to get himself to that next level, to get himself in title contention, Kolohe's got to start getting more consistent in a complete tour schedule.
Absolutely, and he's also got to get those wins. You know, he's had those opportunities where he's made the finals, but has yet to really take that, you know, 10,000 points, that win, to hold that trophy over your head, because I think that's when all of a sudden you're going to go, oh, okay, that's what we need to do to win. because he hasn't done that yet on the big stage.
3 finals, no victories, but at the moment in a great position. 9th place on the ratings. He's made that change up, hasn't he? He has gone from sort of the midpoint on the ratings to top 10 surfer. But interesting to note that he hasn't been past the 5th round here at Jeffries before, because I just feel like his surfing could really work on this wave. He's been coming here since he was around about 12 years old.
Yeah. So he understands it. You know, you look at his results at places like the Gold Coast, so the right-hand point breaks, he's got those in and dialed up. So this wave right here, it suits his style. You know, he knows how to ride those tighter barrels and keep the speed through those barrels. I mean, I feel like it almost would have made that wave.
Oh, I guess when you consider who he's taken on in this event, you can kind of forgive him for his tough run of results here at Jeffries Bay. Taj Burrow, a former winner. Kelly Slater, 4 victories here, 5 if you count a specialty event, and Geordie Smith. So it's taken the best guys to overcome Andino at this location.
It was interesting. If you know, we haven't touched on Taj in what he's done here at this wave, but he is one of the best. I mean, if you were to talk about like the top 5 JBay surfers, he would be in that conversation.
Oh, he's watching at the moment. In fact, taking care of business with his little girl Bella. But here we go, Andino up once again. Couple of nice hits, just a flurry of maneuvers, just keeping on track with the pocket of that wave, letting go of a number of turns, trying to better a 5.9.
You know, one of the things I like about Kolohe's surfing is that when he does go off the top, it doesn't feel like he slows down. It almost accelerates, you know, out of the lip, which is, again, difficult to do. You know, when you start to go into a turn, you slow down, but he seems to accelerate out of it. And on his forehand, a little point of difference for him is he connects to the lip. You see those snaps, little downward carves, carries a ton of speed into that next section there. Again, the timing's impeccable. He's connecting with the lip. I mean, I guess the only really drawback to that would be that it kind of lacked a little bit of variety, but that's the type of surfing he had to do in order to execute the maneuvers and get down the line.
A little handcuffed by the pace of that wave as far as bringing different maneuvers to the open face. He's going to go close to upping the ante just a little bit though. Falls short. It's a 5.5, so still counting a 5.9 and a 6.17 at this stage. Jadson Andre chasing down a 5.74 to get himself into the lead. If you've just joined us, Owen Wright winning through in the first heat of the day, and the heat winner is with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Owen Wright, the anticipation for this heat has been building for you. Yesterday getting called out of the water, this morning having to wait a while. How good was it to finally just get that round 2 out of the way?
That's exactly what I thought when I paddled out. I was like, oh, it just feels nice to like start. And I caught my first wave and it was only a 4, but I was like, I just feel nice to stand up because I paddled out yesterday and then I went to run out earlier today and it was like, oh, we're going to wait another half an hour. And I was like, all right. And then, yeah, finally got underway and yeah, it's pumping. So like, cannot complain.
And we also think about your matchup with Ethan Ewing. I mean, he's such a talented surfer. He hasn't had a year that's gone his way that much, but does that make it more dangerous because you're just waiting for that to flip and turn around for him?
Well, the way that heat went, it was definitely more dangerous for him just with like, he hasn't had a good rhythm and it was a scrappy heat. And when you have scrappy heats, you kind of need things to go a little bit your way. And yeah, I kind of just felt like I had the read on it, like having a lot of heats this year already. Just felt like it was going to be a slow one and I just got underway and got started and didn't, like I had priority there and I just, it looked like a 6 came through, so I went just to not let him in the heat and sure enough he only got 1 wave. So yeah, I feel like it played out into my advantage then.
And how important is that first wave when you know that the conditions are so slow?
I mean, it's just one of those things when it's slow, like if you don't get the best waves, it's really hard to get into it. And even if you do get the best wave, which he got of the heat, you got to catch 2 waves. And I don't think he got his wave until like 8 minutes to go. So it was always going to be hard for him to get another one. And I had priority and I was just going to obviously pick the odds out of it. And yeah.
Oh, and we'll see you in round 3. Well done.
Thank you, Rosie. Owen, a solid performance. And, well, Sean Thompson said that more often than not, 63% is his guess of her heats
There's one.
Won by the surfer that takes the first wave. And that's been the case in the second round so far. The winner has always had the first wave of the heat. Geordie Smith, Matt Wilkinson, Owen Wright.
Who in this heat had the first wave? Did Kolohe have the 0.5?
I'm not sure. We were at a break at the time.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
But I mean, it was the first, I guess, could you say the first scoring wave? Or do you have to say the first wave?
I think it's got to be the first wave.
Okay.
Because that kind of sets the rhythm for the...
no, agreed. You know, it sets the rhythm for everything. I mean, and that's why a lot of surfers feel like it's that important. But just interesting note, I mean, listening to Owen, so confident. I mean, he literally said, oh, yeah, no, this was going to be a slow heat. I had the rhythm. Everything was like he had it, choreographed from hooter to hooter. And he didn't feel like he was going to lose that heat at all. That's how I guess you got to be, right? I mean, the reality is the confidence is in between the ears is 70% of it or 80% of it. I mean, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but it's very important in order to win events and win heats.
Well, we're obviously a long way from the finish line, but I always like looking at what surfers are throwing away.
It's our job, Ron.
Throwing away as their worst two results as we move through the year. And Owen's in a great position at the moment. He's got a 9th and a 13th. You think about John Florence, Matt Wilkinson. They're both carrying a couple of
13s.
Really poor results at this stage. So Owen's got a little bit of an ace up his sleeve in that regard. He's kind of got a throwaway still in his bag. So if he can get through this contest and obviously get through the year, without counting on that, he's just got a little bit more room to move.
Let's think about what we have going forward. After this event, we go into Tahiti. I feel like that's a very strong event for Owen. Those Pacific leg. I mean, he is amazing. I mean, that's when you look at all of the events on this tour. You would say that Owen has strengths in all of them. Trestles, both going left and right. He can utilize those lefts really well. He's got a solid little air game that he could pull from. You go to the barrels of France, super tubes, pipe. Like, hey, this end of the season's pretty good looking for Owen.
Absolutely. Looked really sharp on that wave after the Hooter 2 in the second round. Just under 10 minutes remaining. We've got Kolohe Andino leading Jadson Andre, and another one of our title threats about to hit the lineup in Julian Wilson. Welcome back to the show. You are watching the Corona Open here at Jeffreys Bay, the best right-hander in the world. And Pete Mel, you're going to take us through a ride here at Supers.
Well, when we get to a little bit lower tide this afternoon, actually, Ron, why don't you take us through this ride here of Jadson Andre?
All right, you can take us through the replay. Nice start from Jadson, slices off the top. In transition at the moment, just waiting for this wave to slow up. Then he starts to round out his moves and really draw them out. Off the bottom, banking hard, gets that board vertical and whips it through. A couple of solid backhand hits and a big finish on the inside. And that should be the best wave of this heat so far. Your thoughts, Peter?
I would agree with you. 5.74, definitely going to be able to turn the heat over Kolohe with that one. That was exactly what Jadson needed to do. And it came down to, I think, right when that moment of paddling back out and having priority. That was Jadson who paddled hard and got himself back out there. He rode the second wave after Kolohe, but made sure that he established himself priority. And here he is on one of the better waves in the last 10 minutes.
And we're going to see our first run around of the Corona Open for 2017. Jadson.
Watch out, those muscles are sharp.
Oh, man.
Ow, ooh, ow, 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 ow.
One little slip up there, and
you wish you could just put booties on right then?
Put a good slice in your foot. Just over 17 minutes to go, expecting a solid score. And the thing about JBay, if you get a wave wrong, you can make the adjustment. You know straight away if you didn't put it together well. I think Jadson on the 4.83 left a lot of points out there, Pete. But on that wave, he corrected in a big way.
Impeccable. I mean, you could see all of a sudden when you get yourself clicked into the rhythm, he had a lot more energy. He knew that. And would love to hear that score as he does the runaround.
A 7.83. So by far the best number of this heat so far. 6.5 minutes to go. Kolohe back in second spot now and chasing a 7.99.
I don't know. That runaround is so dangerous because he's still half the battle now is getting back out through the keyhole. That's not easy either. I mean, you know, missing a rock as you're running along the sand. Woo! No boots.
Nice looking lines approaching at the moment. Andino might just get his shot at this 7.99. Well positioned. Here we go. Gets a lot of speed and drives through the barrel. So collecting points on his trip down the line here. Goes to the rail and really leans hard. Puts a lot into that carving move. And now looks to set up this inside run. Again, just tucks into the tube. He's been hidden from us for most of this battle. And now he really starts to let go. Wow. On the inside. What a wave.
What a wave is right. I mean, that was beautiful stuff from Kolohe and Dino. Exactly what he needed to do to answer back to Jadson Andre's wave. Going to be close. I mean, the only drawback I feel like that may have happened just slightly was the connection to the maneuvers. You know, he wasn't able to just flow from one to the next where that we saw from Jadson. So I don't know where the judges, but I mean, you look at the barrel, that arc was, I mean, the quality of the maneuvers seemed to be a little bit better than Jadson's, but didn't quite have the same flow. Here you take a look again, gets the barrel, so a little variety. Wasn't a deep barrel, but look at this turn here. So much speed as he just lays it over on the rail. And that's JBay stuff. That's what you want to see here. Again, wasn't able to completely connect again for the second maneuver. You know, he had to kind of chase to get to that open face. And then there, a little bit of a disjointed moment, but then gets barreled. Not a super deep barrel. From the angle we saw earlier, it looked like he was much more barreled there, but then connects and finishes. So this is, you know, the judges got a lot to think about in this one.
JBay is probably the one event where the judges really want to see you perform the ride with flow. The flow is so well rewarded here. As we see Jadson tucking into the barrel. Don't think he's going to come out of this one, but a good sized set wave rolling through. But I think what Kolohe lacked in flow through the later stages of that last ride, he made up for with that huge frontside hook. That was the turn of the day so far. And here we go, Andre up once again, tucking into the barrel. He's got a good line through this one. And he squeaks out through the bottom of this wave.
What was that? So he did a heart. It looked like he did the heart in his hands. That was a new claim that I had yet to see.
Well, diamonds is also a
diamonds.
Common term over here in South Africa. So maybe he's throwing diamonds.
Diamonds. I love it.
3.5 minutes to go, though. We've got some good replays to digest. Kolohe Andino, his wave came through at a 7.03.
So just shy.
Just shy. Honestly, the quality of that big carve.
Sick, huh?
I don't know. I thought it was actually going to be better than Jadson's. So Jadson's wave was that combination. Had that flow that I was talking about.
It wasn't an easy call. It really wasn't, because there was such contrast. I mean, I love the flow that Jadson carried. I mean, he had the timing, everything. He was the nice critical moves, but he was back to back to back. Whereas Kolohe had to chase, and it just wasn't as quite as connected. But look at this. I mean, that's a true barrel. That's a pretty mean barrel, but just one maneuver. We still don't know. Diamonds. He's calling diamonds. I like it. That was what it is.
Jadson's loving it. Let's check in with Strider. We're watching the replay. Strider must have looked good from the water.
Oh, it was incredible. You know, like you could see him. You saw the intent as he took off. He got out there just in time to catch a wave. And then as he fell into it, he's looking over his shoulder, and you could just see the thing doubling up and barreling, so he just grabbed it right from the beginning. And when he pulled up into it, he had to drive off that foot. And then he was so deep in there, you couldn't even see him. He actually disappeared looking into it, which was very impressive, and came flying through it. So great way for Jaddy. Love the heart, and I love the way he surfed.
Yeah, we're calling it Diamond Strider because that's what it looked like. We got to see it slow-mo. He did. He put a little diamond up. Awesome.
Yeah, another solid score for the Brazilian, a 7.97. And Andino now chasing a big number, an 8.77. Just under 2 minutes to go. Has Kolohe been just a little too focused on the barrel in this heat, Pete?
I don't know. I mean, shoot, you look at what Jadson was able to do. He connected with the barrel. I mean, that was just a great set. I mean, I don't know how he was able to get out so quickly through the keyhole to get into position.
He was really deep too, and I think just the fact that you were able to see through the curtain and
where
get
he
a
was.
glimpse of that jersey and just see where he was positioned, well, it really worked in his favor.
The exit too, right? A lot of times you'll see a lot of those, you have to punch through it, but he actually skirted out from underneath the doggy door there and didn't get connected, like didn't get splashed on or hit. So it was a clean exit out.
I really hope we see another set wave here. The way these two competitors are surfing, JBay starting to come on. I think we could see a really big exchange here, but there is only 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining.
Well, there's a little teeny alliance starting to make its way in though, but I don't know if they're big enough. And the priority's with Jadson. So advantage is definitely with Jadson here.
Well, 2 previous head-to-head heats between these competitors, and Jadson has never overcome Kolohe. They met in the 3rd round on the Gold Coast this year. Kolohe got him there, and also in the 2nd round in Portugal back in 2015. But Jadson about to possibly get one back on Kolohe because he's chasing a big number, an 8.77. He needs a good size set wave to achieve that, and I can't see anything rolling our way.
No, I think that Jadson's going to get a win here. He's going to get it into round 3. Well, which is important considering how his year has gone.
What a heat. Some great surfing on show. Some really good barrel riding.
You wonder what the difference would have been, though, in that 617 had Kolohe been able to get out of the barrel there at the end of that ride.
Well, Jadson is through, so despite copping a fin in the back of the head yesterday and getting stitched up, he has turned up today, the Wounded Warrior, and got himself a 2nd round victory over Kolohe Andino. Andino, though, laying down the turn of the heat, and I'm sure we'll see some photos of that in the wash-up of this contest. You are watching the Corona Open. JBay, another big heat coming up next. Julian Wilson taking on Josh Kerr. We'll bring in Martin Potter and Joe Turpel for the call.
Welcome back to the Corona Open JBay, stop number 6 of the World Surf League Championship Tour. Sun's still out, Supers is still providing for the world's best, coming off some key heats here in the second round of competition. Owen Wright barely surviving over Ethan Ewing, and also just losing one of the top 10, Kolohe Andino, to Jadson Andre. Potts, it was an interesting exchange, looking for the barrel, and Dino down on that end section. Ended up getting a little bit of some company maybe he wasn't looking for in that matchup.
No, absolutely. And, you know, a little unfortunate incident there. But, you know, Kolohe surfed incredibly well. I think hunting for the barrel, maybe not the best option. You know, you look at the conditions here today, it is really open faces, big, huge turns. I mean, he laid down definitely the maneuver of the heat. But searching for the barrel might have hurt him just a little bit. We'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. But Jadson Andre surfed incredibly well. Take nothing away from the kid. A very well-deserved win if it goes that way.
Oh, Jadson Andre hurt his head yesterday in the free surf, was at the local hospital, and he said he was just already ready to come back to fight. He was always going to surf that heat. So Jadson get a couple of solid scores. They end up on top of Andino. Julian Wilson versus Josh Kerr. Wilson with a nice, cool rhythm to start. He's made the final out here in the past and showing why with that beautiful flow and rhythm. Rooftop float, lands in the flats. He'll turn around to catch the tail end of Josh Kerr. So 2 riders in that exchange. Kersey already down. 35-minute heats. Both Australians trying to get a quick start here. And a great matchup on paper. Wilson, more steady numbers when it comes to competing at Jeffreys Bay. One of his more reliable events when you really add it up. Besides the final where he split the points with Mick, he made the semis last year as we look at Josh Kerr's way.
Yeah, Kersey, I mean, these guys have been sitting around pretty much most of the morning watching some incredible waves go through, and I'll tell you what, there are some crazy barrels down the end here. Kersey a little bit too deep on that occasion, but have a look at that wave as it just peels down. I've been jumping out of my skin here this morning watching the lineup. Julian Wilson, why is this guy so good here? It is that bottom turn, top turn combo. He's got that flow. The judges are loving the flow. I think if you can connect your turns, keep that down the line momentum, I think you're in for big scores. So Julian Wilson identifying that. And there's that bottom turn, top turn combo that bodes him so well. And that end maneuver there is so important to stick it. So Julian Wilson finding a bit of flow, finding some rhythm here this morning at Jeffreys Bay. A sight for sore eyes, Joe.
What a beauty, just to come around the corner and see Wright's just rifling all the way down the point from around the corner. And Boneyards from where we're sitting you can see, but even starts further, the whole Jeffreys Bay area, up across the Magnitudes, beyond that at Kitchen Windows, where there's a lot of great free surfs going on. We're at the best part of the point. Josh Kerr knows it. Nice searing layback hack to kick this one off. Setting up the barrel, nice and deep. That one's going to shut him down. Kersey 1:07 start. Trying to build his momentum early. Still 29 minutes on the clock.
7.67 for Julian on pure turns. And I think that's what these guys have got to keep in mind. You know, it's all fair to go for the tube because it's one of the best feelings in the sport. But, you know, unless you get really deep, unless it's a big barrel like Jadson Andre's 7.9, I think that you're better off going to turns. I think you're better off doing those big open face turns, keeping that board moving, finding that flow, getting that rhythm happening, and dropping some big turns. 7.67 is a fantastic score there for Julian.
So solid start for Wilson, trying to avoid a round 2 loss here. These two haven't really had a lot of time together in the lineup in one-on-one heats. Oftentimes, both Kersey and Julian Wilson are both part of that top 10 picture. Josh Kerr, once again, kind of like last year, starting off slow with results. It was actually this event last season where that really turned around. Got his personal best ever result at Jeffreys Bay, making the semifinals when he lost to John Florence. Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those ways that you come to and you're praying for a good result. Why? Because it means you're moving through the rounds. It's meaning that you're getting time out here in the lineup, and to have Jeffreys Bay with one other guy in the water is you're winning already, Joe. And I think you know, you talk about losing in round 1. The bonus is going into round 2 is you get to surf an extra time, you know, and I think that's just an early Christmas present, really.
That's right. More time spent in Jeffreys Bay is always a bonus when they make the trek down here. Josh Kerr, living in Southern California, has a pretty long way to go when it comes to flying all the way here. Usually it's multiple flights. You can go from Los Angeles in California to London, then to Johannesburg, then to Port Elizabeth, then you make the drive down. So just the big accomplishment is to overcome the jet lag. Kersey kind of knows he's not a morning person anyways, and he's kind of fell victim to jet lag here in the past. So that was even more of the reason why he signed up for the QS 10,000 in Bolito. He wanted to get here nice and early.
Yep.
He wanted to be nice and adjusted to the time zone, and it's ended up working out for him.
Dust out the cobwebs and get yourself acclimatized. It is chilly water. You've got to get used to the rocks. There's the keyholes that you've got to really re-familiarize yourself with and get used to all those things going on. You know, different food, different bed. There's a lot more to it, you know, to come out and then perform at 100%. So, you know, you talk about Kersey too, but before that, let's have a look at Julian's wave. And this is the 7.67. Now, we've seen some great tube rides this morning, but some of the best scores so far have come through maneuvers. And Jeffreys Bay, a big drawn-out wave. The judges are looking for that speed management. They're looking for that combination of major maneuvers. They're looking for that flow between the turns. And Julian Wilson clicked every single box right there, finishing off nicely at the end. And a great score of a 7.67. But talking about Kersey a little bit, Joe, there's one thing missing on Kersey's resume, and that is a win here on the WCT. He's won in the QS. He dominated the aerial circuit. He's won on the big wave tour. The one thing that's missing really is a win here on the WCT.
He's made a pretty solid effort at certain venues. You think of the Pipe Masters, where he played spoiler back in 2012. Got past Kelly Slater in the semifinals to finish runner-up to Joel Parkinson. That was a major final for him. Also finaled at Margaret River when he got the CT upgrade. It was an event he dominated at the QS level as well for wins. We thought that might have been his breakthrough moment to take a title. But one thing that has been interesting about Kersey was when he came onto the stage, 2008, that kind of era. He came on tour, fell off, had to re-qualify, fell off again, and then once he got back on again, he remained in the top 10 for 4 consecutive seasons. Julian up. Building some board speed down the line. Beautiful bottom turn. Projection hack off the roof. Another wind up. Down car will set up another bonus closeout section to stomp down. Kersey's got a wide open pit. Nice and deep. Kersey looking for the exit, and he's got it.
Crowd loved that one. I mean, it's fantastic to watch, isn't it? It's the disappearing act. It's the Houdini. But you know, in saying that, you've got to get nice and deep. The judges are not going to be fooled. We've got cameras placed at multiple spots all the way down the point here, so you've got to make sure you disappear. You've got to make sure you disappear for a period of time if you want to get that good score on the tube rides. It's going to be interesting to see how that wave fits in as opposed to Julian Wilson's. Now, Julian Wilson tagged his wave a bunch of times. Nice clean turn, some big searing rail maneuvers, finishing off in dramatic fashion. Kersey, on the other hand, just hunting for that barrel yet again.
It's an interesting concept to bring it up, Pod. Says we'll watch this one more time. What was your favorite part about this wave?
Well, I mean, okay, you look at it, there was not much else really he could have done. This wave was, you know, fast. It was down the line. He's nice and deep. You can see him the whole way, though. That's the only downfall I think that's going to come out of that situation. I mean, that would have felt good. It would have looked great from the water. Right there, you looks like he's super deep. Sneaking out of the end there. Stylish exit for Josh Kerr. But in saying that, let's have a look at Julian Wilson's wave. Now, this wave is scores starting to trickle in. It's going to be a great backup for Julian. It's going to put him in a really good situation. Timing is everything here at Jeffreys Bay. Beautiful opening maneuver. Now he starts to hit the gas. Racing down through the impossible section. Beautiful hooking maneuver. Straight off the bottom and into that finishing turn. So not as good as his 7.67, but it's going to be a great score nonetheless.
Solid matchup continues. Two talented Australians, all with the same dream of taking out the event here at Jeffreys Bay for the first time in their career. Wilson, remember, the hero in the final with Mick Fanning a couple of years ago, that we'll never forget. Paddling with courage and bravery to be by his friend's side. Ended up splitting the points there. Returned the following season. Focus on Mick being, you're coming back, and he said he had some unfinished business. Took out the win. But statement for Julian Wilson. He came back, made a semifinal, and got the rematch with Mick that we were all hoping for.
Wow. Well, you know, I mean, look at his results, 3rd, 2nd, 13th, and a 5th. You know, throw that 13th out the window, and he's looking pretty consistent here. So, you know, Julian hailing from the Sunshine Coast, surfing in point breaks. And it's got a lot to say with coming here to Jeffreys Bay. You look at the guys that are very successful here, very established point break surfers, and Jeffreys Bay, one of the best.
And also thinking about Josh Kerr with his starts here at Jeffreys Bay. He's been here all the way since 2007, and the results weren't coming easy for Josh on the top 34 back then. Ended up going down relatively early, but finally found his best result ever last season with that 3rd, which was crucial for him to almost return to the top 10. Finished 13th on the Jeep leaderboard at the end of last season. These sort of up and down results, not always consistent in the final series, but his last memory, Potts, is absolutely golden. Getting to surf with John Florence, almost making the final.
Yeah, John going on to the final, obviously, but losing to Mick Fanning, one of the best of all time. But Josh Kerr, still, you know, have we seen the best of Josh Kerr yet? Is there still more to come from him? And that's the question.
Also, one thing we notice about Josh, no matter where you are, he has so much fun. He's not afraid to ride something different. This time, he's on a soft top, no fins, maybe inspired by Derek Hind and what he's done here at Jeffreys Bay. Just sliding around, that is very difficult to do, especially on a down-the-line speedy point break like this. Kersey, they call him Novelty Boy for a reason. He's good at just about everything he wants to try.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Have you tried that, Joe?
I actually have. It's really, really hard to do what Josh just did, or let alone stay on your board. You just count on your fins. You're so used to it. That just showcases his balance and technique. Wilson. Big carb to float, hard off the bottom, full wrap off the top. Already perfect to his start and rhythm of this wave. Looking to improve on a 6.0 as he belts it off the lip. Stretches out the float, stays on his feet. We'll see if he improves on that total out front. Kersey already was left chasing a 6.75. Potts, what have you noticed about the size of the waves and people trying to perform? Kind of going back to Ethan Ewing earlier, trying to turn the heat against Owen. Maybe even Dale Staples on his last effort against Jordy Smith yesterday.
Well, you know what? If it's really inconsistent and there's very few set waves, obviously those waves will come into play. But today, I mean, big sets marching around the corner, very consistent. So I think you've got to leave those little ones away. I think you've got to play the patient game. You've got to roll the dice and try and find those big bombs like this one that comes around the corner. Your heart starts pounding. You start getting nervous. You don't want to blow it. You know, it's one of those waves that it's almost unbelievable when you see it. You know, you've got to kind of rub your eyes and take that second glance at it just to make sure that your eyes are not playing tricks on you. It's
one of the longest rides on tour. You have a lot of time to think about what you're doing. Kersey just takes a look at a wave real quick. 19:30 to go. And oftentimes, Potts, you talk about channeling your best. For guys on the top 34, they're not consciously thinking, they're reacting. Their bodies are in tune. Their boards are ready to go. But JBay might be that one place where you're going, okay, what am I going to do with this section?
Well, it's, you know, surfing is one of those sports that it's not premeditated. So you can't go out there saying, okay, on this wave I'm going to do a cutback, a re-entry, I'm going to get a tube, and then I'm going to finish off with an aerial, because you've got to respond to what that wave's allowing you to do. And I think the best guys are the ones that are creative under pressure in those moments of spontaneity. Julian Wilson, nice searing turn there, just smooth, clean arcs. There is no glitches in between his maneuvers. That's what the judges are going to like from Julian. That's what's given him so much success out here at Jeffreys Bay. Just that big, swooping, clean, mistake-free surfing is what is the order of the day right now.
Julian Wilson's worst result out here came in a different season for Wilson. He was a guy that just every year was in the top 10, and he started getting knocked out early. Round 2 and round 3 were tough for him. That was the year he lost in round 3 to Antino. All of a sudden, he found himself late in the season having to go to some QS 10,000s to save his spot on tour. Back to this one with Kersey up. Nice clean down carve wrap. Nice vertical to follow. Now it's starting to racetrack. Clean flow. Now here comes another nice top turn, rapid cutback. Kersey, layback jam. Another healthy-looking phone climb for him to put that one to bed. 173's long gone, and fighting for Julian's lead.
That was better from Josh Kerr. Going back to Julian Wilson's last ride, a smaller inside wave underneath the priority of Josh Kerr, dropped to 6.6. I mean, that was just classic clean surfing. I mean, you've got to reward that.
Love seeing that. Julian improving on his score line, 6.60. So then Josh needed a 7.35 in the last effort. Wilson's asking for the update. And now Kersey working his way back out. Let's see how close he got here to the 7.35 pots.
Well, I'm almost calling this could be Josh's best wave. I mean, nice opening maneuver. You can see just taking his time with it. Try not make any mistakes. Keep that board moving down the line. You've got to have that down the line speed, momentum. You heard Richie Porter a couple of days ago talk about speed management, talk about combination of maneuvers, talk about finishing off your waves, and that's exactly what Josh Kerr did. So a 1.73 is his second highest score at the moment, so he's definitely going to improve his situation. Ultimately looking for that 7.35. Plenty of time remaining. It has been consistent this heat. There's been plenty of waves.
So Josh Kerr working out the system on the open face, but also famous for bringing a lot of new school flair to Jeffreys Bay. He's done huge grab rail reverses, crazy nose picks. He did the stalefish reverse last season. That time, kept the rail in the water, got his finishing move. Now a 16.25 to go. Still working his way back up the point on this beautiful point break. You can see the top there, that's Boneyards in the distance. And the whitewater way back on your screen, Magnitubes, which has had some really fun waves lately, Potts.
Yeah, I mean, both those spots have been pumping over the last week. It's offered us a lot of surf sessions and some great moments. I love that Boneyard section. There's not too many guys hang up there.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice little warm-up surf for Potts before he jumps to the booth for the entire week. So far, Wilson still out front in round 2. Heat number 5 will be back at Jeffreys Bay for more after this. You're watching the Corona Open, JBay, stop number 6 of the World Surf League Championship Tour. We just came up stop 5, the outer known Fiji Pro, and we had a huge shake-up on the Jeep leaderboard, seeing Wilco climb 5 spots to take over the Jeep yellow jersey. The biggest mover, though, going the right direction, Michel Perez. He didn't just introduce that new tube stall technique, with 11 spots just outside the top 10 picture. And unfortunately, on the other side, dropping 7 spots. We had Zeke Lau drop to 23rd. Kyle Belli, remember he had the final at Bell's. He dropped 6 spots as well. And also showing up with an injury to Jeffreys Bay to make it even tougher. You can see how solid you have to be as an athlete to really perform and stay a part of the top 34. There's been famous injuries that have taken people's careers from them and sometimes even motivated them to do even bigger and better things. I think that's what keeps us so close to the sport, Pots. never know what's going to happen next, like right now with Julian up. Building speed, looking for his first turn, and blows that board off the top, and he's down. So priority with Kersey, 12:40 to go. Last to Josh Kerr, Potts of 5.6. Still chasing a 7.35.
Yeah, still chasing 7.35. I'm not sure. I didn't really have a quick look at that, but Julian Wilson, did he use that priority then?
He did.
He did, and that was kind of I reckon, a little bit of a blunder. I mean, that was a very average wave. It didn't have that big, long, clean, open-faced wall on it. Maybe Josh Kerr showed a bit of interest. Julian Wilson using a little bit of defense and took that wave off him. So Kersey now sitting out the back with priority, leaving that door open. Yeah, you can see Julian Wilson did have priority. Kersey made sure he committed to it. And Julian's taken off thinking, what have I done? I've kind of thrown it away. Now I need to do something radical, and trying for a little bit too much. So maybe a little bit of a mistake right there from Julian Wilson. Kersey sitting out the back now with priority, door slightly ajar. You can see Julian throwing the tail out, that front foot slip. So now it is quite cooler today as opposed to the last few days. The water temperature dropped a little bit. Felt like there was snow on the mountains this morning, polar bears running around the beach. And sometimes your feet can get a little cold and mistakes will happen.
It's true. It's amazing how it can fluctuate so quickly with the temperature here at Jeffreys Bay, and even just what is needed to perform in these matchups. You were talking earlier about how everyone is kind of looking to transition to maneuvers, how you were watching it go down. What was really being deserved was a huge carving technique balanced with a huge finishing move, where competitors have to be ready to adjust according to conditions and also really pay attention to the numbers coming from the panel.
That's exactly right. You know, if you're trying something, if you're looking for something, you're paddling back out, you're hearing your scores drop, their average scores, you've got to change it up. You know, obviously the judges aren't liking that approach, so you've got to give them what they want to see. And there's a criteria, a judging criteria that these guys have got to serve to. It's almost ticking the boxes, and that's kind of what you've got to do. I mean, Matty Wilco in Fiji was a prime example. Everyone was looking for the barrel. Matty Wilco, to me, seemed like the only guy really that was committing to turns. And then when the barrel did show its face, he was there to, you know, capitalize. So I think the same thing here at Jeffreys Bay. It's maneuver based. You need to be looking for those the big maneuvers, the big rail turns, the John kind of coffin style of surfing. And then if the barrel shows its face, pull in, obviously, and finish strong.
Well, at the moment, Julian Wilson still out front of Josh Kerr. One thing you get to watch at Jeffreys Bay is really breaking down the styles of the world's best. One of our favorite styles of all time, 77 world champ Sean Thompson, is going to break down the technique and the flow from Julian versus Josh Kerr. And Sean, I know you're enjoying this matchup so far.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the matchup. And what's really interesting is while their styles are different, there's also a profound similarity. They both do a lot of rail changes along the face of the wave. So you can really contrast their style of surfing to, say, Jordy Smith and Joel Parkinson. They don't do that many rail changes. They seem to be able to understand the speed flow of the wave and where the juice is in a wave through their feet. So they do a lot less turns, a lot less rail changes. But when both of them really get back on the tail and they stop the rail changes and get into the deep carves, that's when they get the big scoring opportunities from the judges. You can see both of them here. As soon as they stop that kind of rail change, they can really lay that rail over and carve it up. And that's certainly what the judges are looking for. They're looking for absolutely committed maneuvers. And they're looking for, when Richie Porter said to me on the first day, we don't want safe surfing. So I think that's the key out here. Judges want to see commitment. They want to see absolutely radical surfing. And he also mentioned this concept of speed management. And whenever I see a multiple rail change, I know the guy has kind of not so much made a mistake, but he's just not understanding the power and speed of the wave. And I think to really see that speed management at its optimum, you need to look to Jordy, you need to look to John, and you need to look to guys like Joel Parkins. They just seem to understand that intense internal energy of the wave, and they just use their toes to tap into it rather than that rail change, rail to rail to rail.
So, Sean, what you're saying is the more rail changes, obviously not finding that power pocket on the wave.
Exactly. Rail changes, I think, are superfluous. I think the guys that really understand this waves are the guys that don't do the rail changes.
It's just one beautiful line from start to finish. Thank you so much, Sean Thompson, for the insight on what it takes to succeed here at Jeffreys Bay. Strider Wasilewski has been taking this one in from the water once again. Hope you're staying warm, Waz.
I am staying super warm out here thanks to this flash bomb. It's super cozy, and I've been taking notice of the speed management that Sean was talking about. I actually really love the way that Julian Wilson has been doing that. He's really gone into transition and thrown his weight into his turns, but he's kept it together and been able to combine everything into that wave as a nice flowing down the line move. He's one of those guys that's done it. Obviously, he's been down to the business end of this event quite a few times, and out here right now, love the way he's doing it. He's coming up into that bowl, finding all that speed and using it perfectly to come around and releasing just in time to get into that next maneuver. It's very, very hard for these guys, to actually time everything down the line. And that's what I love about Julian Wilson, to find that time, to come around the corner, to hit that lip, and then come out and release again into the corner. So it's one of those things that this wave is really easy to surf and go really fast on, but to surf the wave well, to slow yourself down into those turns, to combine each turn and link that wave together and do it with authority and do it, as Sean said, the head judges are looking for the commitment and no safe surfing, and to do all that together, that's a really, really hard thing to do out here, and I think Julian does it well.
Thank you, Strider. All talking about flow, connectivity between turns. You have a long time to be dissected here from the world's best judges upstairs, and you can't afford a single mistake on these dreamy walls at Jeffreys Bay. And thinking about option spots, priorities with Josh Kerr. Let's see if he can capitalize to get a 7.35 in the lead here. Nice clean setup turn. He's going to pull in. Easy exit for Kersey. Resetting for another opportunity in the barrel, and Josh Kerr's locked in. Bonus section's going to race in front of him. Now Kersey's got to hustle. Josh looking to pop out, and that one's just going to race through impossibles without him. Wow. And that wave will continue all the way down the beach and end up at the point. And Albatross so far down the corner. All the free surfers are going to enjoy that. Kersey had the view, and he was just dying to make that one out.
Yeah, maybe just bit off a little bit more than he could chew right there. Just wiping off a little bit too much speed. Now, that end section is called Impossibles. Why? Because the wave literally changes gear on you. It starts to really reel off down that rip. It kind of straightens up a little bit. You need to have your foot on the gas as opposed to the brake. Now, you see him come down the bottom. This perfect positioning right here, and then fades right down, wiping off as much speed as he can, slowing himself down yet again. Now, I think maybe the perfect option would have been to speed up. Why? Because look at the section right there, just a little bit behind. Had he been another 4 or 5 foot in front, he would have come flying out of that thing. So, opportunity gone begging right there for Josh Kerr. That could have been an excellent score. You can see from the water, Josh Kerr just looking for the barrel. I mean, it's one of those days where you could get the wave of your life out here at Jeffreys Bay, but you're in a heat. You got to try and make those waves.
Julian also having a look on the wave after Kersey here, Potts.
Yeah, Julian just trying to do the same thing. As said, kind of hit the reef perfectly to pull into the barrel. That one again running away from Julian. So both guys looking for the barrel, both guys coming unstuck. The score's not going to be relevant.
Tough time for Josh Kerr. 3:50 on the clock and a tough season so far. He's had one heat win coming into stop number 6. This is where things turned around with positive signs, where he got himself back to 13th in the world after the Pipe Masters last season. He went to the Bolito, didn't get the result he was looking for, so Kersey's starting to think about that run on the QS towards the back end as well. We were mentioning before the set came, Wilson's year, where he kind of went through a season like that, 2014, but he came back in one of the most impressive ways you ever could have by showing up in Hawaii, winning the Triple Crown, winning the Pipe Masters, and that was all behind him. And we got a lot of time to talk to Julian about how tough it was to continue getting knocked out in that round 3, which happened in 2014.
Yeah, but he stayed strong though, didn't he, Joe? He worked it out. He figured out the mistakes. What am I doing wrong? You know, what's going through my mind? What's going through my head? You know, why am I losing? And it's, you know, there's got to be one little thing that you can put your finger on and work on that, and he's done that. I mean, for me, he's a top 10 surfer all day long, and quite possibly a world title in the future, but you know, he's got to find that consistency. He's proven himself in heavy water waves, but you know, he's just got to find that consistency a little bit more.
It's amazing in that year, if you could go to Julian and say, hang on, you'll be a pipe master at the end of the season, he'd probably okay, that sounds pretty good.
Exactly.
He called that the best day of his life. The dream to winning the Pipe Masters for all these surfers just seems surreal, and Wilson collapsed on the sand. His post-heat interviews, his final interviews, he had sand all over his face, a huge smile. He knew that he was back to compete for world titles. Following season, made multiple finals. He was in the final with Owen Wright at Fiji when Owen had 2 10s. Besides the one here at JBay with Mick, as we see him stretching out this right-hand wall. Controlled carve, plenty of speed. Hits it off the lip, and he goes down. So down to the 2-minute mark. Kersey needs something big here. Just checks it out, kicks out. Time is against Kersey to perform to save himself in round 2 here at the Corona Open, JBay.
Yeah, you know, you said he went to Bolito just to try and, I don't know, maybe acclimatise a bit, maybe look for a little bit of confidence. You know, those little mistakes in the qualifying series can almost do you more harm than good. If you don't come out of there with a good result, you're expecting to do well, you're a World Championship Tour surfer, you go up against QS guys and you don't get a good result, that could almost work against you sometimes. Let's have a look and see what happened with Julian Wilson. All down the line speed, and you can see just leaning. Get too much pressure on the front foot, caught that inside rail, and over the handlebars he goes. So even the best fall off, Joe.
That's right. Julian, though, falling and knowing he still has the lead, in a little better position than Kersey into the final minute. Julian just changing the feeling of this trip for himself now into his 5th start. He brought his mom, Nola, along with him, and also his brother, Bart. They're here for the first time and just giving him all the support he needs. With now 45 seconds on the clock. Bart's been out there enjoying the free surfs, having a ball. And just Julian gets to relive those first experiences with his brother, his eyes wide open, seeing the first set come through at Jeffreys Bay.
Absolutely, and his first hole-in-one too on this trip.
What a way to kick it off.
Beautiful Cape St. Francis links, Jack Nicklaus course, 17th hole, par 3, 170 odd yards, boom, in the hole.
One talented human, Julian Wilson is. So far, so good with the lead with Josh Kerr. Breaking the tie of previous matchups. They haven't seen each other too much in this round. Julian's got him before it lowers in the quarters. That's the latest they've ever met in an event. And he's got him here at Jeffreys Bay as we close this one out. Wilson, a former finalist at Jeffreys Bay, takes this one into round 3. Mom is proud of that performance. And on the other side, the tough year continues for Josh Kerr with another equal 25th as this really marks as the halfway point of the tour, Potts.
Yeah, a couple of opportunities went begging. I think the first 2 waves, hunting for the barrel, maybe could have capitalized on those with maneuvers. Didn't come out of that one big one, so a couple of little glitches there for Josh Kerr, but I'll tell you what, there's nothing wrong with his surfing at the moment. I think there's just a couple little mistakes that he can clean up. He'll find a result.
Another great heat coming up next here at the Corona Open. JBay, Connor O'Leary takes on Miguel Pupo after this.
Corona Open, Jeffreys Bay. We have just heard that Kelly Slater has unfortunately injured his foot while surfing up at the Boneyards area. Unfortunately, I think Kelly has gone off with the medical staff to get x-rays to just check on the condition of his foot. At the moment, we're just waiting on news to hear, how severe that injury is. We actually had a camera go up and check on Kelly and just to see, what was going on up at Sharon's house, and here's what he had to say.
Every reason it happened.
You want to keep it awesome,
Yeah. Just dump it over.
Just keep it on the inside.
Man, I'm gonna literally probably want to hang myself tomorrow.
No, man.
Watching the waves. I was like, kind of figuring out, like, when am I gonna jump? When am I gonna jump? And I just like I'll just ride right into it, and it just. Man. Well.
That stuff warming up.
That's JBay in Tahiti out for the year.
Kelly just taking it in, just going up the beach, getting some assistance. And now just worried about his toe, even thinking of the idea of missing the next couple of events. Rosie, tough news to deal with, knowing the greatest of all time can't continue his flow from that beautiful round 1 victory the other day.
Yeah, definitely, Joe. I actually went up to the house just to check on him, and you could tell that he was visibly disappointed. I think, the injury probably hurt, but I just think the fact that the conditions are the way they are at the moment and not having a chance to compete when the waves are like this, I think that also pretty much buckles someone when they sustain an injury.
As you know, this place very, very well. And the bricks, all the muscles, there's a lot of things that can add to that. Just trying to get out into the lineup. Is that scene where Kelly injured himself, just trying to paddle back out in the right place? Or was it during the surf itself?
I think it was during the surf itself. I spoke to Todd Glazer, one of his photographers, and he just mentioned that Kelly actually got compressed in a barrel. It was his back foot, those back 3 toes and the metacarpals and the carpals that were seeming to cause him some pain. So they're still going to get the x-rays to confirm that. But yeah, that back foot compressed in a barrel and unfortunately in a lot of pain.
Tough one to hear, Rosie, so we'll stay tuned. Thanks for those updates with Kelly getting a free surf session in the barrel pots and all of a sudden realizing that the next couple of events, which you've won before in the past, you're called the greatest at, and now you might have to sit on the sidelines. This was supposed to be a turning point for him, sitting 18th on the Jeep leaderboard.
You know what, watching him surf before the event started, he was definite standout. I mean, he had that many good waves, and deciding to move up once they started the event, pulling into the tube right now. There's, the safest way really is to ride it out and let the wave, all the power go over the top of you. Don't try and sneak out, don't try and jump off. Kelly opted for the safer way to do it, and it actually came out wrong. So that's the sport of surfing for you. There's no guarantees, and we hope that it's not as serious as he thinks. You can see visibly disappointed, and we feel for him.
Stand by for updates on Kelly Slater's injury, and hopefully he will be able to surf through round 3. We'll keep you posted on his status for the Corona Open JBay, and hopefully he'll be back for Tahiti. We'll keep you posted on all those scenarios. It's interesting, Potts. A lot of the injuries I've seen have come from coming in, paddling out. It can be tricky at times. You can get stuck in an awkward place. There's a lot of slices that happen to the bottom of your foot coming in. That time in the act of surfing. As we get started with this one, Connor O'Leary and Miguel Pupo. Connor got a start during the break.
Yes, he did, and a fantastic start, really, on your backhand. A tricky wave to ride. Just got to go back and see how many guys have actually won this event. Back in 1984 was the last goofy footer. 2 goofy footers out in the water at the moment. Both beautiful backside approaches. Connor O'Leary, that opening wave, beautiful 7.33. Miguel Pupo opting for the booties. Now, not too many guys wearing the booties, but it's a safer option, obviously, coming in and out of the rocks. You save your feet, but Miguel Pupo flying down the line here. I love the way this guy surfs. I'm a big fan of his style, his approach. He's so smooth yet so radical. But Connor O'Leary off to a flying start, that's for sure. He's been putting a lot of time in the water. He's got some confidence up, ranked number 7 in the world after making the finals in Fiji. Started off on the Gold Coast with a quarterfinal. This kid is on an absolute roll, leading the rookie race, and he's doesn't look like stopping anytime soon, Joe.
Connor O'Leary dominated the qualifying series last season, and I think when you put his name against the solid 7 new faces we have on the top 34, he was a little underground globally. He was just one of those guys that was focusing on contest results. He hadn't seen a lot of video parts or a lot of those big magazine trips yet from Connor. He was focused on his goal to qualify. And boys, he's made his name heard around the world in the top 10, number 7 in the world, already swinging on wave number 2. Nice speed jam off the top, frames it vertically. Now out in front for the backhand carve. This one's going to stretch out as he gets closer to the bricks and gets a little hung up with a foot slip on the finishing move. So big numbers to start. That'll be his backup score for the time being.
For the time being, I think that'll be that won't count by the end of the heat. Some more sets approaching the lineup. I love these beautiful long lines here of Jeffreys Bay, but I'm really impressed with the maturity that Connor O'Leary surfs with in his heats. He structures his heats very well. He comes out and gets a really good score to start off with. Applies the pressure on his opponent straight away and then wastes no time backing it up. So really smart surfing. Big sets coming through now, though. This is what makes Jeffreys Bay so special, ladies and gentlemen. Have a look at this.
And right now, your name's Miguel Pupo. You have priority, the entire lineup to yourself, and you're just about to paddle into the wave of your life. Pupo locks in, nice and smooth. First hook completed. Board speed picking up. Straight up in the lip, and he's gonna pay for it. That wave is still reeling down the line, Strider. Look at that missed opportunity.
A missed opportunity. Oh my goodness, that wave was like a cartoon, absolute perfection. I cannot believe how perfect the waves are. It's just the froth levels going through the roof right now for me out here. It's one of those things where you just can't think of a better wave. It's just like a cartoon. You just draw on your folder in school thinking about it as a kid. And I feel like that kid right now watching these waves come down the point. These guys are in heaven out here. Can you imagine going out for a surf? These guys are trying to get into the paddle battle right there. Connor trying to get back out there in front of Miguel, but these guys are getting paid to ride these waves right now, and it's just firing out here right now. Just watching it from the water, I can imagine how beautiful it is from the beach. Absolute perfection.
Well, Strider, the difficult part of that perfection was seeing Miguel Pupo fall on the second turn. Do you feel like that was the wrong section to go for that maneuver?
You know, we've talked about it. There's that froth level that goes through the roof when you take off on a wave, the anticipation of how fast you want to get started. Where do you hit it? Do you wait for the perfect opportunity? Do you get up into that lip so it doesn't look like you're trying to safe surf a wave? And, you know, he had a great section there, but I think he just approached it a little too far from behind, and that wave just reeled off down the line. Absolutely. I mean, you could have went all the way down. You could have been still surfing right now, probably.
You know what happened, though? His bottom turn caught a little bit of an edge, wiped off a lot of speed. It didn't give him that projection that he was looking for. But the thing with Jeffreys Bay, the little insight here is your first maneuver doesn't necessarily need to be the best maneuver on the wave. It is such a long wave that by the time you get to the end, they've almost forgotten what you've done at the beginning. So what you do is you start off slow, you build your momentum, you work your way into that wave, especially something that good. You don't want to blow it straight away. You'd rather blow it at the end than at the beginning. So Miguel Pupo there, back to the drawing board, but that was a definite lost opportunity right there. That could have been an 8-9, quite possibly even a 10-point ride if he had to finish that off.
Tough one for Miguel Pupo. Has had some trouble in this round of the pass at Jeffreys Bay. His best results has been in round 3. So he's had some options out here in the past, but has struggled to find a huge result at JBay. He loves the wave, loves coming here, brings back some great memories and free surfs. That time trying to go straight up, and like you said, Potts, just the need of when you get up at different venues just to nail a big first turn. Sometimes you can stretch it out and get the money section down the line. Pupo looking to recover. Getting hung up on the backside float. He has to eject again. Started with a 4. Now a couple of incomplete scores as he's trying to fight for the rhythm back.
Yeah, that's we could hear Strider groaning again in the background, but 2 missed opportunities there, and again going for too much on that first turn. Set yourself up, you know, get your feet in the right place, get that high line going, get that flow down the line, and then start unleashing further down the line. Once you've got your feet, your positioning, your speed. Miguel went into that maneuver with very little speed, strong offshore winds, hung him up there, and that was another mistake from Miguel Pupo.
So Miguel Pupo looking to recover. Just like all athletes in any sport, you got to shake those moments off quickly, pretend like they never happened, and bring out your best. Pupo qualified with arguably maybe the best rookie class in history, alongside Gabriel Medina and John Florence, 2 world champs. And he's still been requalifying each and every year. He's had a solid approach on his back end at venues like Snapper, where he made the semifinals. Just trying to get that first result going here. Tough times for Pupo's season so far, though, as he's sitting back number 32 on the rankings. Pupo on another wave through the inside. Couple of hacks real quick. Into his 3rd move. Burning some steam now. Into his 4th solid snap in the pocket. Setting up a nice little backhand float. Pupo coming around the corner. Nice jam, but he'll lose the handle on the finish. Connor still swinging on the next wave. And O'Leary gets out of there. We'll see if he had anything special on his first couple of maneuvers as Pupo was finishing. And it looks like Miguel did improve, just trying to shake off some of those nerves and do a couple solid turns at the start of that wave.
You know, a little bit of a smaller wave, just trying to get rid of those, you know, the bad memories of those 2 wipeouts. But his board looked a lot better on the smaller wave. It seemed like with that wind blowing, you know, if there's anything wrong with your equipment, as you said before, Joe, this wave will expose it. And maybe those bigger set waves not being too friendly to his board. So obviously the wind is starting to pick up a little bit, strong offshore wind. So you got to really time your turns properly. Maybe 3/4 face turn instead of going right up the top. So let's have a look at Miguel on a smaller wave. You can see a little bit more energy here, snapping in the pocket. Watch this next turn. A little bit more committed, a little bit more confident with these more sort of insiders, so to speak, rattling off, trying to get rid of that bad memory of those 2 wipeouts. So Miguel Pupo back on track somewhat, but then again at the end here, falling down again. So 3 wipeouts in a row. Connor O'Leary on the back hand as well here. Big, strong bloke is Connor O'Leary. You can see choosing those more down the line sort of maneuvers instead of trying to get that board nice and tight in the pocket. I like it, keeping that down the line speed. Bigger, stronger guy. And he's definitely having a lot of fun out here right now. 7.33 on his opening wave. We'll wait for that score to drop.
Connor O'Leary coming from Cronulla in Australia. His mom, Japanese, competed on tour way back in the day. And we always knew that he was coming. We saw him through the Pro Junior Series, early QSs. Last year, his breakthrough year, which came with a huge win in South Africa up in Ballito in the QS 10,000. Small conditions, awkward waves, even for a big guy. He's so quick in his feet. He's got a great air game. We saw him in Fiji also make the final. We were getting word from guys like Mark Akalupo, former world champ, that he's seen Connor surf some pretty heavy waves down the Cronulla area. So he has that act in his back pocket just in case the surf gets really solid. And we really just started realizing he had every single thing he needed to be on the top 34.
Oh, there's some outer reefs down there at Cronulla that's produced some big gnarly left-handers. So Connor O'Leary, no stranger to surfing some big heavy waves. Shark Island just around the corner. Cronulla Point as well. I mean, there's some serious waves down that way.
A great place to really groom guys for the top 34, and obviously a world champion in Mark Akalupo, winning this event back in '84. Besides Aki, you think of other goofy foots that really did well at Jeffreys Bay. You think of some Aussies that did well. Kai Otten had a couple of big moments where he'd get past the final series. Ace Buchan's done that a few times. Bobby Martinez had one where he got into the quarters and beyond, but one guy I think that was the most consistent, that came close to winning a couple times, Damien Hobgood. He really had a solid read on this wave, really out of the gates. Hobgood, CJ, and Damien often talked about studying tapes of Aki, but Damien was the one that had multiple finals, runner-up to Parkinson more recently, but 5 quarterfinal appearances in his career out here.
You know, and in most recent times, Matty Wilco taking down Kelly in the quarterfinals a couple of years ago in big, pumping Jeffreys Bay. So, you know, I think he's probably got a shot. I think the way he's surfing now, squeezing through that heat in round number 2, that was a close call there for him up against Michael February. I think that's going to give him a lot of confidence moving forward. And with the swell predictions the way they are, we're going to see JBay firing, and Matty Wilco's going to start getting that just that off the bottom, off the top combo, and we know what he can do when that's happening.
So looking forward to the outcome of this all goofy foot matchup. One surfer, though, that's been very consistent and amazing to watch the last few years, Julian Wilson, is now with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Julian, once again, the waves are pumping out at Super Tubes. That's got to get you pretty excited to hit the water.
Yeah, it's really fun out there. This is the best day so far, I think. It's only going to get better this afternoon. The tide's going out and the swell's supposed to pick up quite a lot. So, yeah, it's a beautiful day to be here and be out there with one other guy.
And we're talking about the pressure the other day of the conditions being so good and not wanting to blow a really good wave. I mean, how do you just control those kinds of nerves for yourself?
Just enjoy it. Just seize it. It's so enjoyable out there, and just yeah, just wait for my chances and have some fun.
And with such a long wave on offer, what's your favorite section at Super Tubes?
If you can get that big double up that barrels through the bottom of Super Tubes there, that's the one everyone wants, I think. You know, right from the takeoff up the top, if it has that big long wall on it, and if it's, you know, got a bit of size in it. So that's probably my favorite section, is, yeah, getting on one of those big ones and waiting for it to barrel on the inside.
And equipment choice for waves like this?
This is a regular shortboard. The waves aren't super powerful out there now. I think the wind's quite strong offshore, so it's keeping it a little bit softer on the face, and my shortboard felt fine, and yeah, it just was nice to have a few exchanges and get some nice waves.
And this round 2 is so nerve-wracking for you. I mean, we've had a couple of days to contemplate it. How does that factor in for your campaign?
Just wait. The forecast is so good, and try not get too excited, and take each day as it comes. Today's a real treat, and I'm glad that we're surfing round 2 in conditions like that. So, you know, it's not really down to chance. It's down to who outsurfs the other guy, and that's what we want in every heat, every event.
Julian, thank you for your time. We'll see you in round 3.
Thanks, Rosie.
Thank you, Rosie Hodge. Julian Wilson, one of the best at JBay in the last few seasons, coming off a semi-final last year with a rematch with Mick Fanning when they split the points the year before. He's been very consistent at one of his favorite venues on tour. Starting off with all the luck we talked about, the hole-in-one, golfing. Talk about bringing his mom and his brother just for some great family support. And then he had a free surf session where some people were calling it was one of the best JBay waves they'd seen, from vets like Bede Durbridge. I ran into Bede in the restaurant across the street, Nino's, that's owned and operated by a local surfing family. And Bede was like, oh my goodness, you've got to find Julian's wave somewhere. A double barrel. Bede said he gave him a 10 on the first section already, and he got a bonus one that just ran through. One of those waves you dream of, and Julian was still buzzing from it before the start of round 1. So I think when you get waves like that, Potts, you could speak for that. It doesn't just stick for you for that day, that moment. A wave like that at JBay can fill you for the rest of the season and even a lifetime of memories.
Well, that's what I was about to say. You know, Julian will be sitting one day with his young son on his lap, reminiscing about this wave that he had at Jeffreys Bay. I mean, that's how crazy this place is. That's how much it is just burnt into your brain, and you just remember every little bit of it as well.
So the battle of the Goofy Foots continue. Rookie sensation Connor O'Leary leading the charge over Miguel Pupo with a 7.33 and a 6.07. We'll be back in Jeffreys Bay for more action right after this. Let's just flash back to the last event of the season. It was Connor O'Leary's breakthrough final on the championship tour. It doesn't happen for rookies every year where they go all the way and come close to taking out an event. Connor got to do it at Cloudbreak in Fiji, finishing just under Matt Wilkinson, beating world champs like Joel Parkinson. What was your big takeaway from his performance, Boss?
Oh, just just the consistency that he showed in all kinds of conditions. I mean, Cloudbreak this year in the Adenown Fiji Pro produced waves like this, but then it was also very tricky days. It was, obviously not pumping Fiji on certain days, but Conor O'Leary just showed his wide variety of repertoire, that consistent performing, and in a very tricky wave, a wave that generally need a lot of experience at, really did shine.
Now back to this one. 12 minutes on the clock in round 2, heat number 6, and Miguel Pupo looking to find the lead. He's not going to find it there on that small inside wall. Pupo started off with a 4.0, and the tough times when he fell on the set. Fell on his second turn, tried to recover, and still found a little section that was awkward. Worked off some steam with a 5.33, his best number so far. So still in the game, needing an 8.07 to make a comeback.
Yeah, if you look at Miguel's waves, he started off with a 4, then a 1.70 that should have been up in the excellent range, and then a 1.4 that could have been up in the excellent range as well. 2 waves that were classic JBay walls and wiped out on the second maneuver. So a couple of missed opportunities for Miguel Pupo. This heat could have been a lot different.
So Pupo would just be dreaming of a restart here, but as a competitor, he's thinking about the time on the clock, what he needs under the priority of Conor O'Leary. Pupo's got a brother, Sammy Pupo, that's been absolutely ripping. Rides boards that his dad shapes, Wagner, a former competitor. And Pupo was kind of one of the headliners of the Brazilian Storm when he won a big QS 10,000 at lower trestles over Tanner Gudauskas in a close decision. A solid QS career, went already into the top 34 with hopes of entering a world title race. Right now his goal to win a major event. Right now, thinking about qualification, you have to be in the top 22 in the world to get the call back up again. And happens that's where he landed last season to get another lap around the world pots.
Yeah, well, you got to be in the top 22. Miguel Pupo, top 22. Nat Young, unfortunately, just outside. Keanu Singh, who won an event last year but failed to requalify. And then you see Jeremy and Jadson all requalified through the QS. So you know, if you're looking like you're struggling on the World Championship Tour, you kind of got a double dip, don't you, Joe?
You sure do, and that makes for an exciting Pipe Masters. And it couldn't have been any more exciting if your name was Ezekiel Lau. Kanoa Igarashi stepped up to double qualify to open up a spot on the qualifying series. But there's always someone that's on the wrong side of that, and that was Nat Young. We're happy that Nat had a few wild cards to kick off the year due to some injuries. The entrance for the top 34 at Jeffreys Bay, we had everybody that was full-time on the 34 able to compete, even through some nagging injuries, but everyone was there. That's almost rare these days with these guys surfing at such a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, something's got to give, you know, no matter how strong, how fit, how healthy you are. We've just seen that with Kelly, unfortunate. You know, they're surfing and doing stuff that most normal human beings cannot do, and sometimes things go wrong, you know, and it's part of the game, I suppose.
Looking at 9:15 on the clock. Remember, Connor started solid. First wave, 7.33. Got that one quick as this 35-minute heat started to unfold. Now we're down to the 9-minute mark. Pupo trying to create some space under priority. That wave's not going to help him out.
I'll have that one.
All day long, pods.
Even that little wave, Joe, that little wave is peeling all the way through the inside, and it's driving me nuts right now.
You're starting to lose your marbles. 8:45 on the clock. These guys are holding their composure out the back. No one out. Connor out front. Former world champ Sean Thompson on hand and local legend. Sean, how impressed are you with Conor O'Leary, a rookie, believe it or not, taking on Jeffreys Bay here?
Yeah, I've had dinner with Conor a couple of times, and he's a very self-possessed, self-aware young guy. His mom was a surfer from Japan. His dad's a surfer, so I think he has been exposed to surfing competition and surfing culture for a long, long time, and he just sort of seems to know his path. He's not like a kid in a hurry. I think that second place showing at Fiji was just another step in his career development. He seems to have that mission He's got his mission, and he's on that mission. He's got a great quiver of surfboards here. He's sponsored by Channel Islands in Santa Barbara. I think he's really dialed his boards in. So he sort of exudes that confidence. And if you ask any pro surfer out there, sure, ability is really important, but confidence is equally important. And it just kind of comes out of his pores. He's kind of a bigger guy. I think he's about 6'2", 6'3". I think his quiver is mainly 6'1s and 6'2s, and he's got this kind of bigness about him, big confidence.
As you look at Connor, Sean, does he remind you of any other guys on tour, or is he kind of breaking his old mold?
No, I think he's, when you look at him from a physical aspect, he looks a little bit like Geordie Smith. He doesn't surf anything like Geordie. I like his backside attack, and that he has that similar sort of drive, that down-the-line drive, but a high down-the-line drive that Owen Wright has. They have that hard bottom turn, going vertical, and then they have that drive off the vertical snap that actually pushes them down the line. You don't see them doing that free-fall floater too much. I think any coach out here whose surfer does a free-fall floater deserves a good caning when they come in if they're a backsider. Because it's a stall and generally the wave runs by you. But he seems to have it all together. He's got the complete package. He's got the great frontside attack that he showed in Fiji. He's a young guy. He's loving life. He's out there. We're having dinner. He's having a couple of wines with me. So he's a guy that's having a good time, but also focused and confident.
Thank you very much, Sean Thompson, for the amazing insight. And we definitely know his opinion on the free fall floater. He got to break that down with us further in the highline heat that Corona put on. And he was just thinking like he wants to see people drive through their turns and not go for that as a safety, as we see Pupo slapping that first section, really moving quickly through that vertical projection snap. He's heating up, smaller waves, so he knows he has to really over-surf this one, and puts it to bed on the inside, moving with a sense of urgency. It's been tough to turn waves without priority in these conditions, but hopefully he'll better his 5.33, get closer to that 8.07.
Yeah, excellent score required from Miguel. I don't think that one's going to get there, but I like the intent on that wave. He looked a lot looser, looked a lot faster, and it's that backside snap down the line drive that Sean was talking about. Now, keep that momentum moving down the point. As soon as you start going vertical, you're kind of wiping speed off. You're going to be playing catch up down through the rest of the wave. But some good surfing here from Miguel Pupo. Just a little bit of an insight on how good this kid really is. Today is not showing, obviously, a couple of mistakes. Finished off nicely, but you can see the body language. It's not working for Miguel at the moment.
Now hitting the 5-minute warning. Miguel Pupo still chasing at 8.07, and Connor O'Leary remains out front, courtesy of the 7.33 start. Connor quarterfinaled on his debut at Snapper Rocks, got to feature that backhand attack. Was able to have a matchup with Owen Wright and kicked off his rookie campaign in a solid way. Getting coached by Luke Egan, one of the best ever in pro surfing, charging, winning events like G-Land, and when he came here to win his event at Jeffreys Bay, it was a specialty event. The dream sequence where the prize purse was, a plot of land. You get a piece of Jeffreys Bay that Luke still has today.
What an amazing prize. Yeah, money's nice, trophies are good, but a piece of land here at Jeffreys Bay, are you kidding me?
How special.
That's very special.
Every time I see Luke, I'm like, hey, do you still have it? He's like, oh yeah. Drives by, looks at it, brings up great memories. So since that wasn't a championship tour event, that's why we talk about Aki's win in '84. There's sometimes a different event, different invite events that happen at JBay. Luke won one of those. And his approach was really unique at this wave. Always talked about the power being at the top. He said sometimes you could get carried away wanting to overturn a section. His lines were brilliant, and he can still call him one of the best of this wave.
Well, if you've won an event at Jeffreys Bay, well, then, yeah, you kind of worked the place out, haven't you?
Where would you want your piece of land to be? By the super section?
Right about there.
You're kind of sneaky, though. You want it hidden a little bit?
Yeah, I want it hidden. I want it just to blend into the sand dunes, and the fane boss, which is the local weeds, the plants here, the aloe. It's got a very unique smell.
So your first trip, none of those homes were there except for Sharon's?
Sharon's was the only little house up on the point. And the rest was sand dunes, man. It was absolutely beautiful.
And Sharon's house marks the keyhole where you take off or paddle out to get yourself into the wave of your life. We watch Connor O'Leary now, the heat leader, the rookie, who's number 7 in the world. Get his flow going. He packed in several maneuvers before this runner section. Now belts it hard off the lip. Another nice re-entry, swinging off the bottom. Looking like he wants to finish solid. Attacking it, trying to hang on, but the finish goes away from him.
They're looking to replace a 6.07 and trying to apply a little bit more pressure. Miguel Pupo, a 6.07. So he did better that 5.33, like you said, Joe, just chipping away at the lead. The requirement now is 7.33 for Miguel, but time is the enemy, really, to just over 2 minutes remaining. So Miguel is just praying right now, maybe reminiscing, maybe going back in the Rolodex and thinking about those missed opportunities. Probably one of the best waves we've seen all morning. Miguel Pupo was in the lineup by himself. That thing marched around the corner, and he ended up wiping out on the second maneuver. So a couple of unfortunate little errors there for Miguel Pupo. Is it going to come back and haunt him?
Miguel Pupo has so many brilliant weapons he can use in competition. When you focus on his backhand attack, I remember sitting with you, Potts, over the several years and watching him do that under-the-lip speed jam that makes him unique and separates his backhand from others. Sometimes it works well when you have a nice coping at snapper where he can really fit it in, he can drift his tail and be really high performance. How much harder is that to apply that to a wave like a Jeffreys Bay?
Oh, it's super difficult. I mean, I wouldn't know because I'm a natural footer, but you can only imagine how hard it is to snap under the lip, keep that speed going, because this wave runs at about 100 miles an hour, you know, so you can't muck around. Miguel on another screamer.
Pupo looking for something big to come back, jams the first section. Gets a snap before the racetrack section, now pacing himself well. Beautiful arc right off the top into a vertical. Much better pace and flow for Pupo on this final decision. Jams it right on the money. And Pupo gets his best wave on the last effort.
Wow, 30 seconds to go. Is he going to steal the win from Connor O'Leary, who's been looking like he is going to walk away with this? Miguel Pupo is showing some less than positive body language through the middle of this heat due to those 2 missed opportunities, but gets another shot, Joe.
Impressive final exchange.
Oh my.
We remember Connor had the wave before, and now Pupo got a chance out the back as we have run out of time. And now the judges will take a moment to look at the last 2 rides to see if Connor improved on the 6.07 and if Pupo needed more than the 7.34 there.
Yeah, well, this is the 7.33 at the beginning of the heat for Connor O'Leary. Nice vertical turn there and finishes off beautifully. So Connor O'Leary just rapid fire on that wave right there. Just a series of beautiful backside snaps. Miguel Pupo, let's have a look at this. With limited time on the clock, Miguel races down the line, hooking into that turn. Now he hits the gas. This next turn here is beautiful from Miguel, hooking into it. Maybe not as vertical as Connor. Now he starts to get vertical. Bottom turn, another searing maneuver. More down the line speed as opposed to Connor O'Leary's, and finishes nicely. So kind of 2 different waves, really. Connor O'Leary was more vertical attack. Miguel Pupo more down the line, sort of rail work. Joe, it is going to be close no matter which way you look at it. 7.33 required. Is he going to steal it off Connor O'Leary?
Connor O'Leary, a top seed, number 7 in the world. After a final at the Outer Known Fiji Pro, looked like he was the guy in control from the start of this heat with the hiccups from Pupo. Miguel had that speedy little runner where he just packed in turns. That put himself in a position to really compete. That was a 6.07 that left him chasing a 7.34. Last score for Miguel Pupo, a 7.03, and not enough. Wow. 13.4 total to 13.10. It doesn't get much closer than that, Putz.
Yeah, and you know, you've just got to go back to those 2 missed opportunities, Joe. I mean, the best wave of the day so far came around the corner. Miguel was in line. He fell off, you know, and I think that's...
No?
Yeah, unfortunately not, Miguel. Back to the drawing board, but...
I don't think so.
Can I have your best?
Tough one for Miguel Pupo, waiting for the decision and came very close. Some on the panel thinking it was enough. It was that close of a decision compared to the 7-3-3 that Connor O'Leary started off with. Like you said, Potts, a little bit different to get to their 7s. But for Pupo to put himself in a fighting shot was impressive, passing the 5-minute warning.
Yes, well, unbelievable stuff right there. Connor O'Leary dodges a bullet, really.
So Connor O'Leary moving on into round 3 as round 2 continues. Sebastian Zietz takes on Leo Fioravanti. We'll bring in Ronnie Blakey and Peter Mel for the call.
Welcome back to the Corona Open. Connor O'Leary just hangs on for the win. Miguel Pupo, a great late fight, but just falling short of the required number to turn the heat and get himself into the 3rd round. So Miguel, he'll have to reset at the next stop on the championship tour, but we are gearing up for another big battle. Ronnie Blakey with Peter Mel. Pete, can't wait to watch this one unfold because Sebastian Zietz, he's really come on in recent times as a championship tour competitor. And Leo Fioravanti, he is carrying some real momentum after getting a breakthrough quarterfinal result over in Fiji.
Couple youngsters, and of course Leo, like you said, carrying a bunch of momentum, a bunch of confidence, already a confident kid, but at the beginning of the season, that would have been something that would have been a bit of blow to it. But he has been able to overcome that as of late, taking out John in Fiji, which was a big win for him. And now here at JBay, perfect JBay to be exact. I mean, how could you not lose your marbles if you've got a heat coming up with conditions like this?
Dream start for the Italian. Pete, take us through this ride.
Well, of course, you know you want to start off a heat with an excellent ride. Well, look at this. We were waiting for the score of Miguel Pupo's last wave, and this set was coming in, positioned himself perfectly deeper than Sebastian Zietz, and this is the gift he got, the second wave of the set, and he just went off on it. To a tee, found a beautiful wall that slowed up just enough to be able to kind of hook some snaps, and look at the score right there. It's a solid one into the excellent range. What a finish, too.
Leonardo stands 5'11", but he just has a bigger presence than that when you meet him in person, a real lanky guy, and he's using that leverage well out here. We'd made mention in the first round that he just has the kind of surfing that could really fit these walls, but he hadn't really yet put it together out here. And that heat, that wave, to kick this heat off, that might have just switched him right into gear.
Tuned him right in, huh? I mean, that's again, I think one of the qualities that you could have here at JBay is to choose the right wave or have the right waves come to you as well. I mean, I think that obviously positioning yourself and then seeing the wall, but there has to be a right paced wave. And that allows you to kind of open up. And that was the type of wave that did that. It had the corner on it. You could see it kind of came off the top of the point and had a little foamy section that bent in towards the point a bit, and it's just the right speed. And he just went to town on it, got himself an 8.5.
The 19-year-old banks an 8.5. A huge advantage in kicking off this second round heat. He's up against the guy that's avoided round 2 losses all season. The thing Sebastian Zietz is trying to switch up this year is getting past round 5, because he's done it a few times. Hasn't been into the final series of an event in 2017.
Well, you know what that does for Sebastian Zietz. It says, okay, I'm second priority right now. I saw a solid set wave. I shouldn't go to those inside waves at all. He's going to have to wait for a solid one to compete to get that 8.5. Those bigger set waves are what's giving the opportunity. The judge has been very clear. You need to be on the biggest and best waves in your heat in order to make it.
So 28.5 minutes to go. Just making some comparisons to these, well, not comparisons, but just looking at the different approaches from these two competitors, Pete. Leonardo likes to keep those rails clean. Sebastian Zietz, he's just so unpredictable. He has a more explosive approach when he unloads.
Dirty. You like a little more dirty, a little more raw. You know, I think that there's some excitement that comes to that style of surfing. I mean, that's what we saw, but I mean, he has that rawness and it connects. Like he was doing those big rail grab arcs. I mean, they're literally vertical rail grab arcs when he won Margaret River last year. You know, that type of surfing, if he could do that on a couple JBay walls, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we expect from him.
I think that's where he creates a real point of difference at certain locations on the schedule. But you think about these long walls at Jeffries and the fact that the judges just love to see you flowing through your turns and really putting together the wave from start to finish well. It just appears, looking at Sebastian's results, that maybe that style of surfing doesn't work quite as well. He hasn't been past the third round here at Jeffries before.
Well, I mean, I think that, again, it's experience is a big part of having success here. If you look at all of the champions, there's been a lot of surfers there that have spent a lot of time here. So, I mean, I think that it'll come. But right now, you know, you got to have those heats. You got to have those heat wins in order to gain that experience.
These two competitors, they've met up before this season, and it was a close one down there at Bells Beach. It was Leo trying to turn around a disappointing start to the year. A couple of 25th place finishes came up against Sebastian Zietz and did some great surfing. The heat score totals at the end of that battle, which Sebastian won, 16.93 to Leonardo 16.84.
And when you have excellent heat scores and heat totals like that and have a loss, those ones hurt. You know, I know that you come out of it kind of with a smile on your face, like, yeah, but reality is like, hey, if you're putting 16-point heats up, you want to have those be heat wins.
Well, just on 26 minutes remaining here, we've seen some great heats unfolding today. A very interesting one with Jadson Andre and Kolohe Andino. Let's hear from Kolohe, because it was an interesting scenario. We felt that there was a bit of an interference, basically, with a free surfer, a recreational surfer at the end of one of his rides. Kolohe's with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Kolohe, in that encounter with Jadson Andre, obviously you had a beautiful wave on your hands. We saw what happened with the bodyboarder. I think it was about your third or fourth barrel on that wave where he kind of smashed down the section. Do you want to talk us through that one?
Yeah, well, basically I just took off on one of the best waves ever, and I was like getting all these kind of chippy little barrels and super fun. I was stoked on it, and then at the very end I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to pull in and maybe I'll doggy door it, but then the thing just stayed open and open and open, and I was pumping through it, and then right when I was coming out, like past the impossible section, I just got dropped in on. So yeah, I was super bummed, you know, but obviously never know what that score could have been. If I could have came out in the air and got a 10, so you never know. You for me, I think for sure it's got to be a resurf, but we'll see what they say up there.
And you did come in and have a chat with the judges. How does the process work for you guys, the athletes, when something like that happens?
Well, for me, it's not a judgment call. It's not a priority call or a score. So I was fine with going up there and talking with Renato and KP, just saying, hey, let's watch this over again, because they got a camera down there. And yeah, it was really clear that I was coming out of the barrel. So yeah, they're going to make a decision and then see in a little bit.
That wave had happened pretty early on in the heat, so did that affect your strategy after it happened, or how do you kind of wash that off once something like that has happened to you?
It was definitely a bummer. I mean, maybe it was in my head a little bit. I didn't really feel like it was, but it could have been in his head too if I would have gotten a 9 or something. So you never know how the heat could have went after that. I tried to just wash it off, but if I have a high 9 or a 10, then things are a lot different. So.
Belay, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rosie. We'll keep you updated on that situation.
I mean, it's the truth, really. You look at it, I mean, we saw pretty clear there was, an interference by a non-competitor. Yeah, I was down the line, but he had that ability to ride that wave. So I know that those guys have been up there discussing it, have yet to hear any news.
Yeah, you just think about this lineup. It is such a long lineup. It does get to a point where you surf out of view, so you are then really out of the scoring realm, but it definitely looked like Kolohe was coming out of that wave, and we've seen a lot of waves finish down there, but here's
just
a wave that Sebastian had. He found the exit. No one dropped in on the horn.
I mean, in this wave right there is exactly the type of wave that he needed to do to answer to Leo Fioravanti's first wave. I mean, look at this one. He completed it with barrels, bashes, looked at clean. I mean, that was very clean, not very raw. That was, I mean, his rails stayed absolutely perfect throughout this entire ride. I mean, even the exits out of the barrels were nice. And I think that that'll be the telltale sign. I mean, this comparatively to the 8.5, he brought the tube ride into it. And he had the turn. So a lot of variety, and see what the judges think. But I feel like it's going to be better than Leo's first.
Beautiful surfing. I will say, I think Sebastian Zeitz got something from that Highline heat the other day, the Corona Highline competition. He went out there on a big, bulky twin fin, and he actually looked so smooth. His lines look beautiful, and I don't know, I think he made a bit of an adjustment there. He's just decided to really clean up his lines at the moment.
And if that case is absolutely true, it says a lot about surfers riding a variety of surfboards throughout their training. You know, a lot of coaches will do that. If you watch a replay of the second wave of Leo Fioravanti, he got pretty darn tubed here too. Didn't have quite as clean an exit. And it felt like he kind of forced this barrel, but he did disappear once again. I mean, so for a second ride, it's going to be a good one. But I think you're right. I mean, it kind of does force you to surf a little bit different lines, and then all of a sudden it kind of gives you that much more experience in riding this wave on a different type of feeling board. So you can kind of go, okay, once you're on your standard equipment, it allows you to just go, oh, this is what this feels like. And wow, that was a great wave for Sebastian Zeitz.
And a beautiful ride for Leo as well in reply. So we've got some big numbers rolling our way. Sebastian Zeitz, I thought he was looking down the barrel of another 10-point ride in 2017. He's fallen just short, a 9.83. He won't be too disappointed with that. And Leo banks himself an 8.13 on his second wave. So in a great position, 2 excellent scores on the board. And this heat, it's starting to feel like that battle down at Bells Beach. We're going to see some big heat score totals posted here.
Well, conditions are conducive to it. I mean, hopefully we see those swell and those sets come and give Sebastian another opportunity, because right now, there it is again, putting up already an excellent heat at 16.63, which means that he has 2 excellent rides. So Leo would have been pretty much making it through and winning previous heats today. But the advantage seems to be with Sebastian, only needing a 6.8.
I love talking to 77 world champ Sean Thompson about his take on this wave, and you know, just the fact that this wave provides you with so much wall, there's so much opportunity there, and if you get yourself one of those dream set waves, sometimes it's a little overwhelming. it seemed to be the case in that last set. Miguel Pupo had a bomb set, a dream wave, and fell on it.
Ouch.
And these two guys at the moment, they are just in the zone. They're not feeling overwhelmed at all. In fact, they're taking this wave apart. We've got 3 waves written, and they're all in the excellent range.
It's interesting when you apply pressure. I mean, and I feel like that's what kind of happens sometimes within a heat. You feel like you got to surf a certain wave at a certain time in the heat. Whereas if you are able to pick those waves up early in the heat, it just all of a sudden washes off that stress, and all of a sudden you're just doing this battle together with this other surfer, and it makes it easier for you.
Sebastian Zeitz up once again. So not waiting for one of those bigger set waves this time, just really digging in though. Just looking so switched on for this encounter, but he just goes over the front of his toe rail there. Wasn't a big wave, was it?
No, but I mean, you know Sebastian Zeitz's style, and it's hard for him to let waves go by that look perfect and clean. You know, that one there, just about a head-high wave. It was on the smaller side of the set wave, but I feel like maybe at this point he's like, I'm not going to wait it out and risk having no sets come in. But I don't know. I feel like at this point in time, these last couple of heats, it's been pretty clear there's lots of waves coming in.
Lots of waves coming in. 3 excellent scores on the board. Sean, what did you make of the start of this encounter?
Oh, great encounter. I mean, those tube rides that both surfers got were excellent. I think Sebastian made a major strategic blunder. When you're holding on to a 9.83, to go for a 3-foot set with 20 minutes to go is, I mean, it's inconceivable. But I think he's a very excitable bloke. I spoke to him before his heat, and I said, you know, Sebastian, I watched you during the Corona Highline, and that twin fin just really smoothed out your style. Your style looked really amazing. I said, I think it really taught you that less is more. And he agreed with me. He said, my father's a longboard surfer, and my father was so stoked with my surfing and that. And those carves that he pulled off and those incredible tube rides he pulled off on his first wave are sort of really an indication of where he can go with his surfing if he just like chills and relaxes. Because he is an excitable guy. When you surf with him in a free surf session, he likes to catch a lot of waves kind of on the inside. But when he's selective, and that's the key to winning here, I think, at JBay. I spoke to Twiggy Baker this morning, the renowned big wave rider, and you know, we both agreed that you've got to select the right wave here at JBay in order to win.
Absolutely, yeah. Tom Whitaker's been trying to get Sebastian Zeitz to step up his equipment a little bit, just to smooth out his lines. And I said he's got to be careful though, because that raw approach has really helped him not only just collect an event win finally, Pete, but to also get some big wins over some really fancied opponents.
Well, I mean, Tom, in a way, is, I mean, I agree with you, but Tom, in a way, is trying to get some more consistency out of Sebastian. And when you have a little bit more foam, it allows you to be that. But you do sacrifice a bit of that mobility and that bit of that rawness that we have from him. But, you know, he's not going to have as many falls that way. He won't have many, you know, rail digs and all that stuff if that kind of happens for him. I mean, and Tom's an example of somebody who's really patient in the water. So, you know, maybe a little bit of that instilled in Sebastian would be good for him.
So this might be where Leonardo makes Sebastian pay for that wave selection error. Let's see what unfolds here. A couple of big swoops to get started. The rangy Italian still motoring down the line, climbs up on the roof, little tail drop float there, doesn't quite get back out in front. I don't see that one going in his top two, but Leo is switched on.
Absolutely switched on. I mean, why wouldn't you be? You know, this is probably his first opportunity to ever surf JBay at 6 feet, straight offshore, sun is out, in a jersey, spotlight on him. You know, all of those things that rises a surfer's performance. And it's here right for you. You know, you just can get so psyched for this opportunity. You know, it was interesting watching Leo. He actually let 2 or 3 waves go underneath. And when he has the lead and you have priority and you don't have to take a wave, as you watch these 2 snaps, by the way, may not go in their top 2, but these were gouges. Those are the types of style of turns you have to do out here at JBay. When you see that fan of water flying off the rail like that, it is, the judges are going to eat that up. I mean, this is a great wave, but probably won't go into his top 2. But just letting those 2 waves go by, he's looking in, seeing where Sebastian was. You know, and Sebastian was, you know, way on the inside. So there's no reason for Leo to take off because there's no opportunity for scoring for Sebastian. And he feels like, you know what, I got a whole priority. I'll let waves go off until he has to have to take one away from Sebastian.
So Sebastian Zeitz let off the off the hook there because Leonardo only dropped a 6.33, didn't push that score up, and he's back out there with priority now, the Hawaiian, with more set waves rolling our way.
Look at this.
And it's an easy call to go because it's got a big wall stretched out in front and just overdoes it on that first turn. Leo a little further down the line sees the opportunity to get priority back and starts hammering to the takeoff zone. And here we go. The race is on.
And he knows how important this is. At 14:45, Sebastian knows as well as Leo, and that's why this battle is ensuing.
Both super fit. Sebastian Zietz actually owns a gym back home on Kauai.
I love the determination of Leo Fioravanti. That is something that he has brought to this CT from the QS, but he learned it from the best at a very early age by watching these types of heats all the time.
Well, they've given priority back to Sebastian Zietz, so he got back there just in time.
He's like the Matrix right now, dodging bullets.
Big time. Like Neo. Beautiful day now down here at Jeffreys. One of the best spots to watch a surf event unfold because you just catch everything from the takeoff right down to that inside where the wave shuts down, or maybe you can squeak out of a barrel sometimes. The crowd eats it up. We've actually got cameras plotted right along so we can reconnect with the wave as it goes past our cameraman a little further down the line. So this is a big heat. Has the potential to be the heat of the contest so far. 13.5 minutes to go. Both surfers hanging on to big numbers. Sebastian needs a 6.8.
I tell you, I was a fly on the wall listening to Mick Fanning talk to Benny King, and Mick kept looking up top, up at that boneyards even further. I mean, you look at these guys and where they're sitting, there's another full point all the way up, another quarter mile of right peeling at them, that Mick said, man, I feel like looking up there that there's opportunity up there, and there is sets that break at that point where you drop, where you paddle out, that'll make it all the way down, even past, again, all the way down past the keyhole here, even longer than what we're seeing these guys take off on.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, you can be at the top, and sure, you might race for, say, 100 yards of that first section, but what it does is it gives you enough speed for when that wave slows up for just a moment,
right where
they're
guys are
taking off, you can let go of a monster turn, and you're already collecting some big points on the outside before you hit the section the surfers are taking off on.
I mean, there's an example of it. That's a small wave, but those bigger sets, they'll start way out the back. I mean, some of the best waves I've received have been sitting above the pack, just because you don't have to deal with the crowd, and all of a sudden the big ones come there, and you can unleash all the way. You're pretty tired by the end. Your legs are rubber.
12 minutes remaining. Let's check in with the winner of the last heat, squeaking through in a close one, Connor O'Leary with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Connor O'Leary, a great matchup, two goofy footers in the lineup. Miggy got that wave in the dying seconds there. Did that put any pressure on you or get the heart rate going?
Yeah, I just, from the water, I just saw spray and fins and board, and I was just like, oh, I got the score, but I guess there was something there that they didn't bump it over, and it was kind of went in my way, so yeah, I'm stoked.
And coming off a final in Fiji, I mean, what does that do for your confidence coming into JBay?
Yeah, it's a massive confidence booster, just for myself, just so I can say that I can match it with the best in the world, and that's kind of a good feeling for me, and it's definitely a massive confidence throughout the rest of the year.
And just like Fiji, you have a weapon in your corner. Luke Egan, former winner in Fiji, former winner out here in JBay. How good is that to have that familiarity that Luke brings to your game?
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, he's won a block of land here at an event, and it's just trying to, I guess, pinpoint boards and which turns to do where to square up and where to kind of go down the line, and he's been a massive help. And yeah, it's not over yet, so I'm going to keep going.
And you've had success in South Africa last year, winning in Belito. Now, surfing as a championship tour competitor out here at Supers, what does that do? I mean, you've really got to bring that feeling into this event.
Yeah, there's something about South Africa that hits close to home, and I've got a lot of good friends over here, and it's just such a beautiful place. I mean, look at the waves right now. It's offshore and it's 4 foot, perfect right-hand point. I mean, I wish it was a left, but it's so good. And yeah, it's an amazing place, and I feel so comfortable here every time I come. And yeah, it's been good.
Connor, well done. We'll see you in round 3.
Connor O'Leary wishes it was a left. I don't know. I think the backhand looks pretty strong out here too. You can tell it is, but it's been a good year for those heavy-footed surfers like Connor, and against Miguel Pupo, you could see the difference. Just that extra punch in his final manoeuvres, helping him get the jump. Here we go. Sebastian Zietz once again. Just clean lines at this stage from plenty of water. Driving off the bottom, up and to the left once again, goes to mix it up. Somehow recovers there. I thought he went down, but he is well aware that that's not going to turn this heat for him. Chasing a 6.8.
Man, that was very much on the way to the score he needed, and now huge question mark. You know, even though he pulled that one off, once you stuff the rail, it, I don't know, it's going to be a close one.
It's a question mark, like you said. Just over 9 minutes to go. There's still time.
Those first 3 turns were awesome.
There's still time.
I mean, you see the curve on that thing? When you get the coming off the top of the point, that was the wave I was talking about, that it actually had been peeling for a good 100 yards outside of them before they even took off. And then it came to that corner, and that's that zone where it just starts to, I mean, the tide is absolutely perfect. You've got the swell rising, and it just turns into the wind. So the wind starts to blow offshore, and it just gets the pristine conditions. But those turns were sick.
Well, he was definitely on his way. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough. He was chasing a 6.8. The scores coming through at the moment from the panel of 5 judges. The highest score, the lowest score logged, they're dropped. And the 3 remaining in the middle, they're averaged out. It's a 5.93, so still after a 6.8. Here we go. Out the back, Leo having a look at a set. I guess that's what Sebastian has to be a little careful of. He wants to get the lead. He can do it with a medium-sized ride, but I just think Leo has clicked with Jeffries today, and if he gets a big set, I think he's an opportunity at improving the 8.13. And
I would agree.
And really making life difficult here.
I mean, you're right. He is definitely clicked in. I mean, you take a look at this one. You can see this one's almost one of the growers, right? So he takes off. It's just barely overhead, but it grows as it goes down the line, and the wave turns into him, and that just allows you to lay into these turns, you know, 3 solid turns, and then this one just trying to mix it up with the layback, and a little bit of that little warble came up the face, and it just allowed that rail to stick, and he goes down.
Well, that hurt. I just love how coiled and ready to pound Sebastian Zietz is at the moment, just getting nice and low through those bottom turns. Has that little extra push as he's riding out of those turns. Seems to be generating a lot of speed.
What a great call. I mean, this heat's been so fun to watch already. And still another 7.5 minutes to go.
Well, just moments ago, we had a chat. Rosie Hodge had a chat to Kaloe Andino, who surfed in Heat 4, and an interesting scenario unfolded where a section was somewhat pushed down by a recreational surfer.
That's pretty blatant, but yeah.
And now we're going to hear from the Commissioner, Kieran Perrow, and find out if a resurf is on the cards. We'll throw it to Rosie Hodge.
Well, Kieran Perrow, the Commissioner's office, has obviously deliberated over the situation with Jason Andre and Kaloe Andino. What's the consensus?
Yeah, that was a really tough one. An unfortunate situation. We never really, it's not great to have to deal with those situations when we've got an interference sort of scenario from an person outside of the actual event. Reviewed the evidence and, had the discussion within Commissioner's office. We're not going to resurf the heat, mainly due to this inconclusive video evidence of that being the actual outcome and why that what had happened in that section when Kalohe was in the barrel. In an ideal world, we would have had an angle from further down or looking into the barrel to really see what happened, and we kind of have to base it on precedent. It's a major decision to have to resurf heat and overturn a result. Earlier in the year, we had a similar situation with Gabrielle and Kelly on the Gold Coast. Same kind of thing. We really had no conclusive evidence that it was an interference, and same with this situation. When you watch it really slowly and you see that section right at the end sort of crumbles down before the boogie boarder actually impacts the lip of the wave, makes it really difficult. So yeah, the decision was a no resurf. Very unfortunate, and we don't want that to happen again.
And obviously, I mean, this is such a big playing field. Where do you guys draw the line between where the competitive area starts and where it ends with it happening so far down the line with the free surfer?
for sure. I mean, this wave, if you get one of those bigger sets, it can go all the way down, almost to the point at times. So difficult for the judges. Obviously, they can only see live to a certain angle. We do have a camera that's a little way down the point there, but even that can't see the end of the wave when they get those bigger ones. Free surfers tend to kind of push their way up from the point, get in the way a little, and the jet skis are constantly pushing them back out of the way. You know, obviously that guy shouldn't have gotten anywhere near a wave that a competitor was on, but that's, you know, something we have to deal with, and we're moving them way down, trying to get them out of the area.
Well, Kieran, thank you for your time.
Cheers.
So there won't be a Reese surf despite the protest from Kolohe and Dino there, but yeah, tough situation there, Peter. It would have been a tough one for Jadson. He's only made 2 heats this year, and he got clipped on the back of his head yesterday by his surfboard, so it was a tough one for him to even paddle out for, but Kolohe has to be devastated at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say there. I mean, there was an interference. I mean, even Kieran admitted it, so it's like, I don't understand it, but that's all good. Got to move on.
Yeah, I personally don't think it would have hurt to send them back out there, but the decision has been made. Jadson Andre did move through to the 3rd round, and now we're watching a great heat unfold between Leonardo Fioravanti and Sebastian Zietz. And Sebastian Zietz has had a couple of shots at the lead. Here's the replay of his last attempt.
Well, isn't enough. He had to get down the line pretty far before he started to maneuver, but once he got there, he started to unload. 2 beautiful snaps, little tube time, and a snap to finish, and kicks out, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like quite enough, because if you're going to see the 5.93 already put up on the scorecards, it feels like this wave, considering where he was in the lineup and the quality of the turns, not quite as good.
No, 5.27. But here we go, taking off down the line once again. Sebastian Zietz tucks in, and he is being greedy at the moment, but he can afford to be. This wave has a good pace. He tucks in once again. Not sure he's going to be able to punch through that curtain. But he spent a good amount of time in the barrel. He'll get scored for exiting the tube before going into that last section, but will it be a 6.8 peak?
Yeah, he was pretty far down the line. I mean, really, there's a bunch of sand on the reef down in that area, and this lower tide, it gets really hollow in that section, and that was pretty cool. He did find the way into that little wormhole, and he will get scored for a completed barrel before he went back in, and it was a pretty long one.
It just feels, though, that Sebastian's maybe panicked a little early here. And he's just gone for a lot of rides. He's had a lot of reps at chasing down the 6.8, maybe just paddling to the top and waiting for a set was his best option.
Well, I mean, it's hard. Like he said, his demeanor, he just doesn't like to see waves go by unridden, and that's just his style. And, you know, that was a very hollow wave. He was in the barrel for quite a long time.
Well, they actually gave him a 1.83, so not really getting the credit for completing that ride. Well, I guess completing that first section. But I doubt it was going to go to a 6.8 anyway, just judged on some of the tubes that we've seen earlier on. Jadson Andre, you know, only just getting a 7 earlier on. But there's 1 minute and 45 seconds to go, and Sebastian down the line is just trying to get an update. He should be paddling back to the top as fast as he can. You can see the dejection on show there. Leonardo, he's kind of hanging around the midway section of the point here. He doesn't want to give Sebastian an opportunity in the final minute to perhaps pick something off midway down the point. It's rare to see a score go up above, say, a 5 when taken, you know, 2/3 of the way down the line.
But do you think that barrel was 1.83? I don't.
Was it a 6.8?
It doesn't matter where you take off.
Was it a 6.8 though?
No, not. But
then
certainly was better. I guess it doesn't matter. You're right. But it felt better than 1.83. Sorry. I mean, I guess the argument being is that it didn't maybe look like it was all one maneuver that he didn't complete because he stayed in the barrel. I mean, in the angle, looking from the judge's tower, would have been tough to see that.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, I'm sure they're not reviewing that particular wave, but I don't know.
Well, 30 seconds to go in this heat, and it looks like Leonardo Fioravanti is going to get one back on Sebastian, or is he? As Seabass takes off down the line. One last effort at chasing down to 6.8. Tucks in. Can't push through that section. And time is ticking by now. It started off incredibly well for the Italian, an 8.5. Backed it up with an 8.13. And, well, we could have blown the hooter to finish the heat at that point, because after the first 3 waves, there really wasn't much else happening. Sebastian had the 5.93, and that was his best opportunity to turn the heat.
Yeah, and that 5.93 really was a mistake. I mean, when he dug that rail, that cost him the heat. And then the rest of the heat, he surfed down, you know, even past where our vantage point was. So a lot of that heat done almost out of the competitor zone.
Another high-scoring exchange between 2 youngsters on the championship tour. But it is the 19-year-old Italian moving through to round 3. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, Felipe Toledo takes on Kanoa Igarashi.